inclusion,
fairness,
usability,
opportunity,
clarity,
equity,
empowerment,
data.
Everyone.
That's often an overlooked aspect of accessibility to create clear understanding.
Access to the technology we need.
To create the opportunity that should already exist for everybody, not just the person who needs it, but it's also an opportunity for everybody else around them.
Accessibility means opportunity because it opens a world that we don't know yet, but will be better.
Accessibility really does apply to everyone, whether people recognize it or not. All of us are going to be looking for accessible solutions. Moving beyond this mindset of accessibility being something that is somebody else's issue or somebody else's problem into a space of accessibility being an opportunity for all of us.
Hello, my name is Evan, and I am the Program Manager at Access to Success, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the ATS Demo Day 2025. I have the honor today of taking the time to reflect on the land we as settlers call home. I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Before we dive in, I'd just like to get started on some housekeeping. So today's presentation provides live captioning and ASL interpreting available on the screens to my left and right, and please feel free to reseat yourselves if you need to. Same for those joining us today virtually. We are really excited to also hear from you, so please feel free to add comments and questions in the chat. Washrooms are available straight through the doors to my right, as well as down this hall to the right as well. We also have QR codes around the room that you may have noticed, and you can use those to actually scan and connect with the companies that will be presenting today. We have our amazing volunteers around the room that can assist you if you need anything. Folks in blue shirts that say Enable Everyone, along with the ATS team. So if I can just get the ATS team to wave so everyone knows who we are. If you have any questions, please feel free. So that brings us to who we are. Access to Success started in 2016, determined to create an opportunity for accessibility startups to accelerate their growth and reach new users faster. Today, we are a global innovation hub for accessibility startups. Everything we do is to help scale life-changing solutions. ATS is a virtual accelerator providing a global network, meaningful support, unique events, funding, and resources that are specifically tailored to help scale startups building solutions for people with disabilities. We're currently in our 6th cohort and have since supported 78 organizations across 10 countries who have gone to raise over $55 million in funds, generate over $60 million in revenue, and most importantly, benefiting the lives of over 2.5 million people with disabilities. Yeah. And we're very lucky that we don't do this on our own. We have an extremely supportive network of global sponsors, partners, and collaborators whom we work with in a variety of ways. We'd like to take a moment to thank CIBC, eBay, HP, RBC, Toyota Mobility Foundation, TourQuest, UHN's Kite Research Institute, Ontario Brain Institute, and the Inclusive Innovation Network for all your help and support in making our work a reality. Many of these groups are in the room today, so please make sure you connect with them. However, today isn't about us. It's about our ATS 2025 cohort. These are life-changing companies whose founders saw barriers, often through their own lived experience, refused to accept that's just the way it is. They turned their frustration, exclusion, and sometimes pain into solutions, opportunities, and businesses. I'm trying to change the slide, but it doesn't seem to be working, so I'll just keep going. One of our founders, who's blind and couldn't use a digital map, was inspired to create the world's first digital map and spatial diagram tool that everyone can use. Another founder's father was discriminated against during the job application process for having a disability, which drove them to create a solution now used by companies to build inclusive workplaces. Or yet again, when a parent saw their children with autism struggling during transitions and social situations, motivating them to create a platform for millions of other families with similar struggles. From independence to inclusion, the ATS 2025 cohort is creating opportunity through accessibility across generations. Now, these companies are more than just the stories of how they started. They are groundbreaking solutions selected from a pool of over 200 applications from 29 countries. Our current cohort are from 6 countries, have already generated $40 million in revenues and benefited 1.5 million persons with disabilities to date. And today, you will get the chance to learn about these organizations through their pitches and panel discussions. We encourage you to pay close attention to their presentations today because you will get the chance to vote for your favorite organization to win the People's Choice Award at the end of the day. You will have plenty of time to speak with these companies during our networking portions, but we also encourage you to keep the conversation going afterwards by using the QR codes we mentioned on the screen now and also around the room that you can use to connect with any of the companies in the future. Now, let's get started. I'd like to invite someone who has supported Access to Success since its earliest days. CIBC has been with us since 2020 as a key sponsor. I'm thrilled to welcome to the stage Catherine Braeken, Director of Accessibility Regulatory Initiatives at CIBC and a passionate advocate for inclusive design.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Catherine Braeken. I'm a white woman, mid-50s, with silver gray shoulder-length hair and glasses. Today I'm wearing a black blazer on top of a red and white patterned dress, and my pronouns are she, her. So welcome to ATS Labs Demo Day, and for those of you who are attending for the first time, you will learn about cutting-edge accessibility tech, and we'll celebrate innovation in accessibility. I know you're wondering, why is a risk and compliance banker-type person here delivering opening remarks? And the truth is, I come from a user experience design background, and over the years in finance, I've become more and more passionate about accessibility and inclusive design. At CIBC, I've been able to achieve my ambition to share this passion, which has been embraced by the organization. So as the business lead for the Accessible Canada Act program at CIBC, I'm focused on preparing our bank for the future of Canada and our clients and employees. We will welcome more clients with disabilities, many of whom are seniors, and we're committed to an innovative, practical approach to meeting everyone's needs. That means our goals are to build accessibility into everything we do from the start through inclusive design, to create safe spaces for open, honest conversations about people's needs and introduce new ways to protect clients and their families from concerns like fraud and financial abuse. CIBC's partnership with ATS Labs, to me, is a natural fit. Access to Success is on a mission to enable everyone. And as a leading global accelerator for accessibility startups, they champion the people, ideas, and technologies to create a more accessible future. Over 2 million people with disabilities have benefited from ATS alumni startups. I think that's something we're celebrating. So at CIBC, our purpose is to help make your ambitions a reality, and that includes the entrepreneurs we have here today, as well as for our clients and employees. But achieving ambitions isn't possible if there are barriers that are in the way. And that's why accessibility is a priority for our team when over 1/4 of our clients identify as having at least one disability. So we aim to consider inclusive design in all aspects of our work, making accessibility a shared responsibility for all employees. So I co-chair the Accessibility Action Committee, along with my other co-chair, Maria, who's sitting over there. This Action Committee brings together teams across the bank to advance accessibility and guide our strategy across the business. And Varun has been welcomed up several times to our Action Committee meetings and has spoken about ATS Labs to our committee. We recognize the importance of partnerships with organizations that embrace inclusive design. And we recently launched the Adapta MasterCard, becoming the first Canadian issuing partner for MasterCard's Touch Card feature. And if you haven't seen one before, a touch card uses distinct notches, in this case a square, to indicate that it's a credit card. So card holders can identify and orient their card by touch, enhancing accessibility, security, and independence. There's a strong business case here for leveraging inclusive design to build innovative systems, processes, and technology and design so everyone feels included and valued. So I want to thank the judges who are participating today and everyone here who's in person and participating virtually, who are showing your support. And thank you to all the ATS Labs entrepreneurs who are participating, most importantly. I congratulate you for getting to this point in your journey as entrepreneurs, and I hope your ambitions become real. And with that, let's get started.
Thank you, Catherine. Now, there are some people in the world of accessibility whom everyone either knows or wants to know, and our next speaker is one of those people. A dear friend of Access to Success, Gina Kline is the founder and managing partner of Enable Ventures, the first impact venture fund dedicated to closing the disability wealth gap by investing in early stage companies working at the nexus of technology and disability. She's flown in from Washington, D.C. just to join us here today, so please help me give a thunderous welcome to our keynote speaker of the day, Gina Kline.
I'm actually a person that wants to know all of you, and no pressure or anything. But it is a pleasure to be here. I can't really express properly how excited I am about seeing the audience here today and about the companies that we're all going to hear from shortly. I remember meeting Varun in early 2020. And Varun, there you are. I was looking for your smiling face. I think we should applaud you before I even say anything about you. The reason I say that is that there's been a bona fide movement that has swept the globe, not just here in Canada, that Varun was a part of. The Varun is one of the earliest leaders in the world to think of putting a high value on entrepreneurial support of people with disabilities and those that are co-creating and co-designing with people with disabilities, not just for, but with. And what Varun has done is something that is really profound, which is to say that in this era of protectionism and isolation and sharp elbows, there is this disability technology sector that is burgeoning, that is porous, that is borderless, that involves leaders like Varun who are reaching across the globe to work with people with disabilities across the world to find the best companies, to find the creators and the makers and the innovators who are solving real problems. And what we're finding every year over year since I've known you, Varun, is that these problems are solvable. Ones that we thought were intractable. What we had was the original sin of bad design. What we had was a technology market in the United States that went on without asking at the earliest stages of the design of technology, who should be at the table? Who should be co-creating, co-designing with us? And we had capital that was historically layering into technology, building it, scaling it, moving fast, breaking things, without asking that question until it was too late. And folks like Varun were leaders to say, wait a minute, we could do this differently. We could ask early and often. We can invite people who haven't been at the table to create their own designs with technology. And we don't need to be in Palo Alto for our technology to be investable. We can find these ideas because they work, because they have what investors would call product market fit with end users, that they will scale, that this isn't just about our belief that somebody should use this technology, it's our belief that people will use it because it's solving urgent human needs. And I know folks like Varun said in the very early innings of this market, if we put human needs at the core of why people create, it will not only be investable in scale, but it will generate economic opportunity alongside rich and measurable impact. And that is what we're seeing all over the world right now. And I'm really proud to have learned from Varun over these 5 years in founding Enable Ventures as the first impact venture capital firm to invest in closing the disability wealth gap. We invest at the earliest stage of the disability technology market in mature seed companies and Series A companies that are raising venture capital. And what we found is that there are opportunities across the sector in giving people the skills they need to work through new and emerging technologies and closing skills gaps that are aligned with the economy that we're in, which is a digital economy that's growing. We're seeing founders and makers and dreamers that are working on what will work be, not what is work today in today's economy. What will inclusive work look like and what technology will need to be at the table? We see people every day in this sector, and you'll probably hear from some of the most creative innovators today that are working on the next generation of assistive technology. What have we not contemplated about AI, deep tech, machine learning, neurotechnology? What have we not contemplated that we could use to remove critical barriers? And these are the types of formative questions that weren't asked before when people who thought differently, who experienced different barriers weren't at the table in the design process, but they're the questions that are being asked now. And now there's more and more capital coming to the table looking for those answers as to what is the future of cognition, of mobility, of speech, of voice, of hearing. What does that future look like, and who should determine who has equities in building the technology in that future? We're seeing founders and makers who are people with disabilities, who are starting their own companies, who are accessing capital to grow not just a product that's going to remove critical barriers, but they're going to grow an inclusive company that will hire differently, that will think differently about who can add value. So we have seen a tremendous change over 5 years. I can only imagine where this is all going to take us. But what I know is that it's not possible without the critical resources of people who support entrepreneurs from the earliest stage, from 0 to 1, from an idea to a business plan to a go-to-market strategy. This is where our future is being built, is in these critical programs way before entrepreneurs are even ready for capital. There's somebody that you need to call to plan your market execution. And that's why we find that across the world, there are leaders like Varun and programs like Access to Success that are making this market opportunity a reality. Before I met Varun and before we had Enable Ventures, I was working on a project that still exists called Smart Job, which is a global scout for the, I thought I was in trouble, William, but that was your cell phone. Of course. It's a global scout for supporting high-quality ecosystem building around the world that will produce the next generation of companies. I got involved in that because I had this truly nonlinear career path where I was a U.S. civil rights lawyer. And you might say that that's nonlinear, but I was representing the interests of people with disabilities across the United States for the Attorney General during the Obama administration. And one of the things that we knew back then was that we knew that there was about 1.5 billion people with disabilities on the planet. We knew in the United States there was 1 in 4 American adults who are working age who had a disability. Today, there's 1 in 6 people on the planet who are strongly identified with a disability. And here's the thing that was staggering. We also knew that 2/3 of working age adults with disabilities were not employed. And this was three decades after the enactment of the Americans with Disabilities Act in 1990. And you know, there was 3 decades to change that labor force participation rate, and yet it wouldn't budge. It was a sticky wicket. It would not move. And we had kind of an internal debate in our country, and I know throughout the world, about whether it was the immutable characteristics of disability that were creating unemployment, that were propelling poverty, that was creating a notable global wealth gap. And the disability community had always known the truth of the thing. The truth of the matter was it had nothing to do with the characteristics of disability. The truth of the matter is that it had to do with a lack of investment in the tools that people with disabilities need to access employment, higher education, skills training, assistive technologies. It had to do with who was making the tools. It had to do with who had access to the tools, how the tools were distributed, who had their chance with the solutions and the innovations. And that is something that rings true across the world today, which is that of the canon of civil and human rights, disability was one of the latest civil rights and human rights movements. The ADA was 1990. We just heard about a Canadian Act for Accessibility that was enacted in 2019 with the UN Treaty, the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. 2008 is when it took effect. So this is a global movement. And you might say, well, why are you talking about this? You're supposed to be a technology investor. Well, I think that we are here today because rights have a natural and a correlative effect with remedies. What are rights to the 1.5 billion people with disabilities on the planet without the right tools, without the right remedies? That everyone in this room is contributing to filling a global wealth gap that is equal to $2 trillion in global GDP, where the talents of people with disabilities belong.
And what we are doing has everything to do with rights, which is that you are building the rival image to discrimination, the rival image to technologies that led to discrimination. And what is happening here and throughout the world is an ability to set the future on a different course, to give people access to tools that will beget new forms of employment, higher education, skills training, and removal of barriers. It is so exciting to be here on the front lines of that and to be in partnership with Access to Success. We cannot wait to see the innovators that are going to present today. They're part of a global movement, and it is so exciting. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Gina. Oh, you're tolerating me. Thank you so much. That's such a great way to kick off today's discussions. So without further ado, let's jump in. So I'd first like to speak about what we're first looking at today. So our ATS startup pitches, we'll hear from 14 companies today, each of whom will present a 3-minute pitch with 2 minutes of Q&A from our brilliant judges. Now, these judges are very familiar with the disability innovation space, and we are so grateful to have them here today. So I'd like to welcome Gina Kline, who of course you just met. I'd also like to introduce you to William Chernicoff, Senior Manager of Research and Innovation at the Toyota Mobility Foundation, and the person who brought the Mobility Unlimited Hub to Toronto. And finally, Zeeshan Ali, partner at Millington Ventures, where he leads the Innovation Fund backing early-stage deep tech startups in healthcare and climate. Please help me welcome him to the stage.
Oh, yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to get started on our pitches. Kicking off for our first pitch today is, of course, Sarah from Aura Medical.
Okay. Hello everyone. I founded Aura because I was really sad and tired that my patients were not reaching their full potential. So I was working with children like Ben. Ben has walking challenges since he was born, and the main problem for Ben is that he sits almost all of his days. So he spends between 80 to 95% of his day sitting because he doesn't like his walking aid. He feels that it's not safe and that it's limiting him. So Ben is at really high risk of deconditioning, and the truth is that 1 child out of 3 will lose the ability to walk before the age of 12 just because they don't have access to the right tool. So I have a background in physical therapy, and I really wanted to replicate my hands. So having something super dynamic, and this is what we created with the Levity. The Levity is a bodyweight support system on a walker. It's super adjustable. We can fold it. It's super lightweight, so it's easy to use for parents. And it really, we added some more tools so we can connect it with the app, so now parents can have remote exercises. It's a Class 1 medical device, so it's currently registered with FDA, Health Canada, and it's also CE mark in Europe. We do have a patent on the bodyweight support system here, so we can swap the weight canister to really adjust to the perfect weight-bearing option for the kids. We can also, as a second step, choose the right exercises so that their children can do these exercises at home, and then you can see Ben again that does his exercise at home, and he really likes it. So on the right, we did a comparison study comparing our product with the gold standard. What we were showing at the gait lab was that Nayla was having a better gait posture, so she was able to increase her walking speed without any deterioration of her gait pattern. So you can see it here. Yeah, so her legs are more straight. We are currently working with distributors, so distributors are taking our margin. We're working with existing distributors because they already have all of these connections globally. So we're working with the largest distribution networks, and also we are currently working on an adult version. So the children version was really an entry point for us, and the goal is really to have a global impact by helping more than 814 million individuals with walking disabilities. We're currently raising our seed extension round, that is $1 million. We already have 50% committed. Our goal is to improve our margins and also reach profitability in the next couple months. We are a team of engineers and salespeople. I also have a background in physical therapy. We have a really great team of advisors. And I want to thank our partner today, Access to Success, Toyota Mobility Unlimited Hub. And thank you so much. Thank you for being here and to help Ben walk. Thank you.
Go for it. Sure. Happy to start. Great presentation. Maybe can you speak to the customer voice in terms of what is the customer looking for in terms of solutions that are now out there in market and why your solution kind of helps that gap?
Yeah, so currently when a customer needs a gait trainer, they will need to change their device every 2-3 years, and there's always like a big gap because they need to ask for the reimbursement through the government. So for us, we wanted to build a device that was fitting for all of their childhood. So her device fits for kids between 2 to 12 years old. So we do fit in a really big childhood portion, and we also can adjust the weight-bearing option. So this is our patent. We really focus on improving the muscle activity in their legs and not just to compensate by putting the weight on their upper arms.
Got it. Thank you.
Well, Gina's writing. We heard that there were 2 million people helped from ATS alums. What's your target for helping people over the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, so over the next 2-3 years, we have a really aggressive plan. So we helped a lot of people. We helped over 600 kids so far, mostly in North America. And our goal is really to expand by 10x in the next 2 years.
So I would love to know, Sarah, what the competitive advantage is. How do you see the product differentiation? You showed one competitor. Is it the form factor? Is it your approach to the market? Tell me why you're different.
Yeah, so there's the technology part. So we are really comparing ourselves like a body weight support system attached on the ceiling, but on a walker. So we're really merging two technologies that is typically mostly expensive with the body weight support system attached on the ceiling. So it's the technology part, and also on the go-to-market part, we're using the same distributors and our competitors because they already have all the connections and they know how to get the funding part. But we really want to be there by adding some value with the app. So we want to bring some digital health into the DME world, so into the durable medical equipment world. So we think that having some constant monitoring with the app will really help our community.
They're going to yell at me for asking a follow-up on that, but are you the only one with an app and DME in the market right now?
Yeah.
Okay, great, great.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Sarah. Just a reminder for some of the new folks in the room, please feel free to come in and find a seat. There's a few seats over here as well. We've got some extra chairs if you need as well. Let's get comfortable. Okay, so next up we have Gabriel from Inclumi. Gabriel has actually flown in all the way from Argentina, so we have to really appreciate how tired he is probably. Okay, Gabriel.
I was looking for the right button to press. Hi everyone, I'm Gabriel Marcolongo. I'm the founder and CEO of Inclumi.com. Oh, there it goes. So she's Irma and she is living in Mexico. And Irma acquired a disability after an illness. She acquired a visual disability, and after acquiring the disability, she has been struggling to earn an income. So Irma's case is not unique. Every time she goes to an interview, she wonders if she's being rejected because she's having a disability or if she's over 50 years old. And as Gina mentioned before, in the world we have more than 1 billion people living with a disability. And in Latin America, the unemployment rate is up to 75%. So when you consider also that 80% of disabilities are acquired at working age, this is the biggest predictor in Latin America that you are going to struggle to earn an income. So there it goes. What we did was founding inclusiome.com back in 2013. So we created an inclusive job board for people with disabilities, and we're also providing upskilling and reskilling opportunities for people with disabilities. We're providing corporate services to make companies more inclusive and also doing data-driven matching to enable inclusion. Everything that we do is based on data, not on perceptions, and now we are also using an intersectional approach to do inclusion. We are a social enterprise. We've been profitable since 2016, and we are reinvesting our income to grow the impact that we're doing. Everything that we do is for free for job seekers with disabilities, and we are earning an income charging companies for services, and we're also working, doing partnerships and taking grants to do upskilling projects all around the world. So those are some of the organizations we are working with, since the World Economic Forum to the United Nations. And our impact during these years, we have the biggest database of people with disabilities looking for jobs. Over 240,000 people with disabilities are part of our database, and we've been able to include more than 4,000 people. And we're working with more than 700 companies, and we already trained 100,000 employees from those companies to make those companies more inclusive. Those are some of the customers we're working with. Those are across every major industry. And we started back in Argentina, and we managed to scale up our initiatives all around the world, focusing on emerging markets. And hopefully this works. So this is one of the projects we are running together with 4 banks in Argentina and Mexico, with the goal to create a more inclusive banking. So we train employees to better serve customers with disabilities. And in the case of Irma, she was part of this initiative. She was trained as a bank returner, and she was able to find employment in one of those banks. And I cannot tell you how much Irma's life has changed after having a reliable source of income. So my goal here is to be here and to being able to expand our impact all around the world and keep having Irma's stories back and increasing the impact that we are doing. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Sure, happy to start. Great presentation. Some really impressive logos and customers that you have. What makes your platform truly differentiated or unique? I assume that there are other employment or job matching platforms in the market today.
We are the biggest platform in Latin America working with any type of disabilities, having the experience of working with about 700 companies and helping those companies to hire people with every different backgrounds, coming from engineers working for McKinsey to cashiers working for banks and also Walmart. So I think that we have, again, the biggest database of people with disabilities looking for jobs, and also the biggest platform of upskilling based on what the market is needing. And we are doing the matchmaking for, what the market is looking for and what people are looking for to find employment. Thank you.
You sort of stole my question, but I'll modify it. So beyond kind of the corporate social responsibility side of what might motivate companies to use your platform, can you speak to any direct performance, monetary, or other benefits that would really anchor what we know is the true motivation behind this?
I think that Gina stole my response.
From the company side.
Yeah, Gina stole my response because in the banking industry, for example, about 20% of the customers of banks are people with disabilities. The thing is, when we ask the banks if they are aware how to serve these customers, they have no idea. So if you better serve a customer, you are gaining market share just by doing the right things. And we did the same with a beverage company, creating tags in Braille, and that was enable blind people to understand which kind of beer they were drinking, or if they were drinking a soda instead of a beer. So I think that we're helping companies to do the right thing by better serving their customers, and this is the way they are gaining market share just by doing the right thing.
I like to cheat, so I'm going to ask a two-part question. So I want to gauge the quality of the revenue, okay, and the quality of the job placement. So on the quality of the revenue, are these multi-year agreements? Are these companies signing up for pilots? Talk to us about the repeatability of the revenue, and how much skin is in this game from these 700 employers?
I will say that I will have a response before January this year and after January this year, because before, half of our customers are US-based companies, and we tend to work with those companies for several years. But after January this year, well, things changed. Some of those.
A few things in America.
A few things, yeah. So.
Gotcha.
We had those companies to create the business case about including people with disabilities, and they having all the data, and they were promoting that. But again, after January this year, they say, okay, we want to just remove everything that we wrote before and trying to guess if we can keep securing contracts from the US government. So in a short answer will be like, we witnessed the commitment of several companies saying, okay, I'm here doing that because I believe I have these values as part of this company. So we're working with several companies for more than 8 years.
Fantastic.
But there are companies that come and go. And sometimes the worst companies we're working with, there are companies that say, okay, this year I'm going to do something on people with disabilities. Next year I'm going to do something based on gender. And it's like inclusion waves. And this is not sustainable. We try to work with companies saying, okay, this is not an isolated solution. So if you are working, for example, with people with disabilities, you're also working with women, with elder people. And so this is the multi-approach that we are following. So the more companies are understanding the value on better serving their customers, the more committed those companies are.
Okay. And then on the, what type of jobs are you? How do you control for the quality of the career pathways or the quality of the jobs that people are matching with?
Well, we have a very diverse kind of jobs. We manage to employ people in the UN in New York or in Walmart as a cashier, and everything in the middle. We have consultants in McKinsey and also people picking garbage in the streets for the cleaning company in Buenos Aires.
The full range of employment.
It's a full range.
Yeah.
We tend to be like a representation of where the market is across every market. So for example, in Chile, we have more mining industries working. In Argentina, we have more like oil and fuel companies. In Mexico, there is a huge variety of companies coming from manufacturing to service-based companies. So, and since we are working with multinational companies, we are having the guarantee that they are paying exactly the same as any other worker, and the career path is exactly the same as workers without disabilities.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much. I know not to, no pressure, but we don't have a ton of time. So anytime that there's feedback or questions that you're unable to share, we encourage you to do so at the networking opportunity. So just because there's lots to get through today. So next we've got Kinesics. So Nicholas from Kinesics XR Therapeutics, please join us.
Every 3 seconds, someone is suffering a stroke in the world. In fact, sadly, 1 in 4 in this room will suffer a stroke. Every year, 10 million people suffer suffer a stroke and require rehabilitation, but only 40% receive the right rehabilitation. This represents an annual global cost of $891 billion. Having a stroke can leave you with severe limitation, but luckily kinesics can help. This is the case of one of my best friends who suffered a stroke when he was 30. He's lost the mobility of half of his body. Just imagine typing your phone or dressing yourself every day with one hand. I stayed with him 1 month, and we proved how hard it was to find a specialist, and when we found it, it was expensive and location dependent. Current technology is still using controllers and cartoons to train the brain, when they really need to integrate fingers and hands and daily living activities. That's why we create Kinesics, an unique, portable, and specialized system that accelerates recovery. We develop a specialized AI finger hand tracking combined with an evidence-based methodology, both patented in Boston with the support of Foley, and integrated in the top seller device. We are proud to validate Kinesics and clinically validate it, improving a 35% in the functionality of a stroke and also in severe burn conditions. Right now, we validate Kinesics in 3 continents and 6 countries, where we are operating in LATAM, Europe with a CE marking as a software as a medical device. Also, we have active 33 license with top centers in these countries. And now we are expanding in North America, US, and Canada with the Health Canal certification, and now we are working in the FDA. Also, we remark from these new centers in US, we are working directly with Mount Sinai in New York and Shirley Ryan Ability Lab, that is the top center neuro rehab in US. Our business model is simple. We offer an annual subscription license per device, where we already start to offer the services to hospitals, centers, and universities. Last year, we sold 120K. This year, we're getting closer to 120, and we're looking to expand our sales. The future is clear. We want to go to US, where is a clear demand of a stroke, where they have 600,000 strokes per year. And right now, we are looking for your support to accelerate the pre-commercialization and do our first clinical trial with Mount Sinai and expand the technology in North America. We're a team specialized in neuroscience and techno-creativity, and we are transforming the life of millions of people. Thank you very much.
All right, I'll go first this time. I imagine you're collecting a lot of data. Through this, you're obviously training the AI, and you've done a lot of the clinical work. Do you have alternate ideas or paths to potentially monetize the data that you're collecting while maintaining privacy?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a really good question, because with the hand tracking, we already are tracking the endpoint of the hands, so we can understand the human behavior of the hands. And these metrics will be involved in the robotics. So will be a super value, understand how you move your hands, based in humans, and this integrated in robotics will be a key value data. And of course, to help and define specific machine learning to improve the adaptive therapy.
Can you maybe speak to the competitive landscape a bit more? So technology solutions such as these headsets are being democratized, costs are dropping. I'm seeing a lot of them use technology to monitor hand movements now. But what does the competitive landscape look like for you, and what keeps you up at night?
Yeah, so mostly the big industry now use 2D technology, like Kinect and other systems, and this is specific for fingers and hand tracking. All the majority of our competitors is still using controllers also, and they train without using the hands. So we have a super key differentiation in the therapeutic hand tracking and finger tracking, where you can train and measure at the same time. So we are one of the top in the market in doing this. Yeah.
So tell me about your FDA pathway. What when you get on the other side of that, are you looking at codes? What is your payer of choice if you're FDA cleared?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, we did all the paths doing the CE marking, then the Health Canada, and now we're going to finalized with the FDA. So we are a class 1, so we assist the therapy. And why US? US is the mature market where they have already a reimbursement code that validate the implementation of virtual reality in the system. So that will be the example and clear example for the rest of the country, how to implement this technology, and where now we are actually working, focusing the reimbursement path and talking with insurance. There is already insurance that already are using the code. So yeah, it's super exciting to then apply the code in hospitals and also at home. So that's the portability of the system that allowed. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, next we're going to hear from Javen from the company Ella.
Hi, I'm Javen Anzaletta, co-founder and CEO of Ella. 10 years ago, my daughter Noella was diagnosed with autism. For her 9th birthday, a beach trip turned into a meltdown on a busy boardwalk. I felt helpless. I hadn't prepared her. Then I remembered her therapist had recommended a solution. Visual supports, evidence-based tools that help kids understand what's next. The problem? They take 2 to 3 hours and expertise I didn't have. I'm a 4-time product leader who's built products that have impacted millions of people, but I couldn't make a social story for my kid. And I'm not alone. 10.3 million kids in the US need visual supports, but 1.3 million teachers and therapists are creating them by hand or not at all. So we built Ella, an AI tool that generates studio quality visual supports in 90 seconds instead of 3 hours. It's simple. Create characters, input a topic, and choose a style. Unlike general AI tools, Ella is purpose-built to help neurodivergent kids understand, including neuroaffirming language, the people in their world, and engaging visuals. To prep Noella for her dental exam, I made this set of visual supports. The best part? She got through her x-ray and cleaning for the first time ever without sedation. And Ella does more than prep for the dentist. 16,000 users have created 48,000 visual supports, generating an average of $13,000 per month in revenue. 100% organic growth through sharing. And visual supports are our starting point. Our vision is to become the go-to platform for teaching neurodivergent kids skills. We're starting with 3.4 million kids in the US, ages 6 to 11, and then focusing on the 300 million plus kids across the world. We're reaching them in 3 phases. We're accelerating our organic growth that we already have across school districts in the US, then expanding through therapy clinics across the US, and then finally taking our playbook international where we already have organic demand in Canada, the UK, and Australia. And we know how to build platforms to scale. My co-founder and I have built platforms across the world, and we have a combined over 30 years of experience leading product and tech teams. We're adding clinical advisors, a head of marketing, and engineering staff as we go. We're raising $1 million US to build enterprise features and execute top-down sales through conferences, direct outreach, and word of mouth. We went back to the beach. This time Noella was ready and she got in the water. Join us in unlocking confidence and independence for millions of kids just like Noella. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to kick this one up. So great presentation. So you're a software guy.
Software guy.
With passion.
With passion.
Okay. How's it in terms of your go-to-market strategy? How will you approach schools?
Yeah.
And what is the repeatable sales cycle in schools, and how is that different from your experience with software?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm an enterprise software guy. I've been selling enterprise software to big companies my whole career. With schools, it's been bottom up. It's been very much like a Slack model where people find out about it, they sign up on their own, and then they bring all their friends. We see that every week a new school district jumps in, and then 100, 150 therapists and special education teachers just come on in. And then we hear from their special education director. So far, that's been our model. And our next phase, we're going to go to conferences, we're going to meet people, we're going to build relationships, and do it in a more traditional top-down fashion.
I have two questions. I'll go with the harder one.
Please.
For example, in the transportation world, disruption is pretty common. If I understood correctly, you were focusing on kind of the visual planning of how does this work when things don't go as planned and that storyboard that you've created doesn't manifest? How does it work, or how do you adapt for that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's why it's on your phone, right? So you have your stories, and then you can edit them right there on your phone and create a new variant in 90 seconds. Okay. So this happens all the time with us. We're planning to go to dinner, it's closed, or there's a line. And I do it really quickly on my phone, get a new story, and we slow down, we talk, oh, plan has changed, let's go through it. So you can add cards, you can change things on the fly, and that's really why we built it, because to your point, things are unpredictable, and you just have to be able to do it on the fly.
Thank you.
Maybe just anchoring on your target customers, can you maybe explain this discovery work that you did? What were some of the insights as to what led you to build this product?
Yeah, so I really built it for myself and started talking to some of the teachers that were working with my daughter, and we found they had this really emotive response, like, oh my gosh, I spend so much time on this. I spend hours every day on this. This is such a big problem for me. And we kept going back and forth with them to tune the first version. And then we just started learning from random people who were using it, who were writing us and saying, we love this, but there's this gap here. How could this language be more tailored? How could you build this in a different way? And we've incrementally improved it to the point where now educators just love it and they tell each other about it.
Got it.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. So for our last of our first batch of pitches today, I'd like to introduce you to Tracy from Action Independence Mobility, the creators of Remix Lift.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for making the time to be here. I want to share, first of all, some hard truths about falls. Despite decades of best practices and all of the current mobility aids and tools that are out there for fall prevention, fall rates have not dropped. And because our aging population is growing so fast, fall volumes have just exploded. 10 to 15% of all EMS calls are for lift assist, straining an already overburdened system. And 50% of those calls repeat in 2 weeks. It's a leading cause, falls are a leading cause for admissions into acute care for older adults, and 40% of admissions into long-term care. And falls-related deaths have increased, the death rates have increased 40% just since 2012. There are also some key trends out there showing an increase in demand, momentum, and opportunity. There's 215 million people over the age of 65 in our target markets right now, and that number is going to eclipse 300 million by 2040. That's just 15 years away, 40% growth. And 90% of people want to remain at home. They want to stay home. So mobility aid adoption rates are up, home care usage rates are up, and early discharges from acute care are skyrocketing. People want to get home, and we need to clear people out of acute care. And remember, our healthcare workforce is aging and need better tools. And most falls aren't the dramatic slip and fall. They happen during everyday movements, walking, bending, transferring, or simply trying to stand up. Current devices don't really help do most of those functions, and certainly not independently. And when somebody does fall, getting them back up is a real challenge, especially at home. I know because I lived it. My parents, they were both in their 80s, and when Dad fell, we scoured the market. We brought everything home to try to help, and nothing would work for two 80-something-year-olds. So that's why we created the Made in Canada Ramex lift. Is the audio not on? Can I rewind this a bit?
Dedicated, disguised, if you will, as a rollator walker. It is a personal portable lift. The reason disguised as a walker, it makes it much more portable, much more easy to use for one person at home who's not a trained caregiver. So it's flush with the floor. So if you're on the floor, all you need is enough strength to slide yourself onto that by hiking or scooting. And if you do that, you can then hit a button and you get yourself back up. So we have a pilot study that's underway right now in the province of Nova Scotia with users. They all love it. My mother said if I had had this, I could have continued gardening. She couldn't bend over the garden, she'd fall over. And she stopped cooking because she couldn't get some of the pans out of the lower truck. So we're going to life changing.
We missed the first part of the audio there. Okay. Can you guys advance to the next slide? All right, that's okay. So the Ramex lift is the first device designed for everyday movement and independent fall recovery. It supports walking, bending, standing, transferring, and rehab all in one system. So please join us on the journey to create a world with fewer falls and more freedom. Thank you.
Happy to start. Thanks for the presentation. Can you maybe speak to traction to date? The tech seems quite differentiated in the market.
It is.
Love to hear kind of customer feedback, adoption, and
So we just started production last week, actually, and our first production run has already sold out, and we're backlogged orders of about 25% on our production run, on our second production run. So the veterans organizations in both the U.S. and Canada, they've each bought up the 20% of the first production run. We did, you couldn't hear the audio very well, but we did field trials with this. It's only a class 1 device, so you don't have to do clinical trials. We did them anyway because we wanted the user feedback, and it does make a difference. People said, I don't have to call 911 anymore. And so the traction and the uptake has been really, really well received so far. And so our big challenge is just getting the word out there.
Thanks.
Okay. You had the two common market opportunities.
Yeah.
Where do you see the same product, or where do you see your kind of initial entry? Is this more for assisted care facilities, or are you targeting more at home, or are you going to go target both at the same time?
Our first run is actually split between both. And so we're seeing the traction in both. If you look at the USVA, they're the largest health system in, certainly in North America. They bought 20% of the first run. Half of them are going to home care. The other half are going into their acute care and their community living centers. So they've bought 50%. Now, Veterans Affairs Canada up here only does the home care. They no longer operate hospitals and facilities themselves. They pay for it. But the reason they're buying 20% of the first run is they can, the chief medical officer there said, if I can keep somebody at home 4 to 6 weeks longer, I've paid for it. It's worth it. We're also seeing some uptake actually in some faith-based organizations who need to keep their costs really, really low because it's a multi-purpose device, and it's something that the older nuns who are caring for the even older nuns can use effectively. And so we've seen some traction in a lot of faith-based type organizations as well.
An excellent presentation. The question I have for you is about competitive moat. So is there a piece of this that's proprietary? Is it patented? How is the IP on, is it in the design of the device, the technology? Tell me what is special and yours.
It is patent protected in 42 countries, and we did that deliberately because we knew we had something special. And so the fact that it is there's a utility patent in it, but it is also the fact that it is a full-blown lift and a mobility aid, so that it does translational mobility and lift. Is what's covered in the patent. It's actually a very, very broad coverage.
So the utility patent covers its multifunctionality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was, it's a breakthrough design. So. All done.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for our first round of pitches. Thank you so much, judges. I'll ask you to kindly find a seat for our next portion, but I'll invite you back soon. Thank you so much. Yes, yeah. Great job. Thank you. Wonderful. So we have a speaker and a panel that we're just kind of changing the set for. So as we're doing that, I just want to speak on our next speaker. So as some of you may know, last year, Access to Success was part of HP's Digital Equity Accelerator, which evolved into a strategic partnership with HP this year. Through this partnership, we launched a new Future of Work and Skills stream to help boost technology, digital literacy, and AI, opening up more opportunities for people with disabilities in Canada and around the world. So to share a few words on the partnership, I'd like to welcome Frances Edmonds, Head of Sustainable Impact at HP Canada, to the stage.
Wow, it's pretty hard to follow all those amazing ideas that we just saw. Judges, you've got a hard task ahead of you. So hello, excuse me, and thank you from HP Canada, Canada's most sustainable technology company, due in part to the collaboration that we have with wonderful organizations like ATS. Sustainability is, after all, a team sport. As a purpose-driven company where for over 80 years ago our founders not only established that partnerships is the way to go, they also said that the real reason HP exists is to make a difference. And for 80 years we've been hiring people who want to make a difference and working on partnerships that do just that. So I want to say thank you. I'm here to address you, but I also am joined by some of my colleagues here who are volunteering using their 4 hours of volunteer time per month that every employee has access to. A small history on our work with ATS. It was just mentioned that HP has some very aggressive digital equity goals. We feel that it's an important piece of contributing back to society. And we have a goal to reach, to advance digital equity for 150 million people by 2030. That's since 2021, and we're currently at 65 million as of the last reporting cycle. So each year, HP selects 3 different countries in which we choose to invest in, and last year Canada was selected. And not only do we make a significant financial contribution, we also donate product. But I think most importantly, when we think about collaboration, what's the best thing that we can do? And it's actually to help charitable organizations become better at what they do. So we give them 6 months of consulting to help them be better at what they do. And so ATS went through this program, this program runs for 18 months, and I can say in the last 4 months alone, over 200,000 people with disabilities have benefited from this program, and the numbers are just growing. What was particularly exciting about this is that the success of this program and the impact that ATS has had has enabled them to become now an ongoing global partner for HP, which is really exciting for me because, you know, we're just one of many countries at HP globally, so it's great. So, of course, the numbers are truly impressive, but let's consider the breadth of impact to individuals. Through the extremely effective practice of ATS in accelerating businesses of all shapes and sizes to truly deliver on making access for all a reality, it's really exhilarating to partner with such an amazing organization. I'm hoping that by the end of today, you will come away feeling as excited as I do in the ability to work in this partnership. And I can only imagine what's going to come next. Varun, I stand in awe of what you're able to pull off. And I really want to thank the ATS team, whose dedication and vision, I think we heard a little bit about that. It's really the vision of what could the world actually look like? What could we deliver on? So I really look forward to continuing the partnership, and who knows what comes next. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frances. Now, next up, we have our panel discussion on innovating for the future of work, with 3 of our organizations supported in the Future of Work stream. So please help me welcome to the stage Radha from Specialisterna, Krista from Wavemakers, Virginie from Open Collaboration for Cognitive Accessibility, and Stephanie Evans to the stage.
Do you want to take care of the slides? Sure. Do you like it? So I can see. We cannot see these people. It's better if I stand up because we don't see everybody. So to welcome you all for this panel conversation. We are very proud to be here today to celebrate disability-driven innovation. I don't know if you heard about disability-driven innovation, but I'm reading a whole book about it, so it seems to be quite complicated. But to summarize, it's about doing something new, obviously, because it's innovation. Doesn't mean it's necessarily original, but it's new to its users. It's about doing something better. And when we are disability-driven innovators, we want to do things better for persons with disabilities. And by doing so, we give ourselves a competitive advantage because we take the problem from a different perspective. We look at the problem from the perspective of persons with disabilities. And by doing so, we are able to think and create original solutions. So that's very exciting. And we've seen organizations like Apple, Walmart, Disney use accessibility or disability-driven innovation as a competitive advantage, among other organizations. But from my experience and the experience of my colleagues here, what is still largely unknown is how to meaningfully engage persons with disabilities in co-design and innovation. It is unknown how to make workplaces where innovation happens accessible and inclusive of persons with disabilities. And that's what my colleagues and I would like to discuss with you today and address today. So I will now introduce myself. I'm Virginie Kobigo. I am the Executive Director of Open Collaboration for Cognitive Accessibility. We are the largest neurodiverse team in Canada advancing cognitive accessibility through inclusive co-design. And Radha, do you want to introduce yourself?
That's great. Thanks, Virginie. Is it on?
No.
Is it on now? Still not on. Now?
Is there an on button?
Just saying yes. Now? Oh,
yep.
There we go. Hi, everybody. I'm Radha McCullough. I'm CEO for Specialisterna Canada. Specialisterna is a charitable not-for-profit, and we work with employers of different sizes and industries to connect them to qualified neurodivergent candidates and support them in adopting and implementing neuro-inclusive hiring and management practices.
Krista?
All right. Hoping is mine working? Yay. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Krista Polly. I'm the co-founder of Wavemakers. We are the world's first national work-integrated learning program that is delivered entirely in virtual reality. And that's not the cool thing about us. The cool thing about us is that we chose virtual reality because it answers the question of how do we enable every student, no matter who they are, no matter where they are in Canada, to access truly exceptional work-integrated learning experiences. And so we have built that here, and I am thrilled to pass to the next speaker who will tell you a little bit about that.
So I'm going to use my notes. So I'm Steph. I navigate life with a physical disability, and I have a passion for advocating for both mental health and disability rights. Throughout my journey, I made significant collaborations around various spaces, including creating accessible playgrounds, helping launch a UDL community of practice. My involvement extends to multiple boards and accessibility working groups where striving enhance inclusivity. So currently I serve as the chair of NEEDS, where I coordinate initiatives to improve accessibility in education and employment, ensuring that the needs of people with disabilities all over Canada are comprehensively addressed and their voices are heard. So, the first question I have for the panelists. So, how does your organization facilitate the involvement of persons with disability in co-design? And what impact does it have?
Great, thanks. And I'm not sure if my mic is actually on. It's not. Let's try it now. Now? Thank you. Is it working now? No.
Do you want to use a lectern?
Sure, I'll stand up. There we go. Is that better? Yeah, a little bit better. Okay, well, so at Specialist Earn Canada, what we do is like I said, we connect employers to neurodivergent job candidates. And so when we speak about co-design, we were really connecting those, we wanted to connect with job seekers to really learn what are the barriers that they're experiencing in finding employment. And they overwhelmingly, when we first opened our doors, they overwhelmingly shared with us that it was really some of those very traditional sort of resume interview approaches that were significant barriers for them in connecting to employment. And so what we did is together we took those learnings and then we created new sort of more flexible creative approaches to support qualified neurodivergent folks to apply for and successfully connect to the workforce. And so that was really a real shift from your sort of a traditional resume and interview to more of a competency-based approach. So looking for creative ways that we could highlight work samples, portfolios, so on and so forth, to really allow for a sort of a show instead of tell approach. And that sort of co-design approach informed a lot of the work that we did in the very early days. But I would say that we actually co-design in real time a lot. And so a really good example of that is we had recently partnered with an aircraft manufacturer. They worked with us to bring forward many different candidates for different roles. And we actually learned after those candidates were hired and joined the workforce, we received feedback from those candidates that, hey, there was some other practices that could have changed to improve their onboarding. And so they highlighted specifically the sort of sensory environment of working in a large facility. And they asked that, hey, they came to Specialist Earn and said, we've gone through this experience. We want to share a little bit more about what the experience was like. And what we did is we connected with that group of new hires, new employees. We collected their experiences and connected them to the employer to essentially integrate information about the sensory and physical environment in the job posting. And then we took it a step further and we actually created a video to support the onboarding. So it was a bit of a site tour of the facility to support those new employees. And so I think the really neat thing here is that it was a benefit to neurodivergent employees, but it had a positive impact on all employees who are new, new in the position and starting out.
And so at Wavemakers, and I am going to stand just so I can see our friends over here. At Wavemakers, how we did this is I originally was running executive programs. I was getting paid $50,000 a head by people on Bay Street to have people come to lovely locations. I was running something called Singularity U Canada, and that was really cool, except that it wasn't entirely validating. And my question was, what would happen if we took content at this level and we made it available to all students in Canada as they start their careers? And what would happen if that was available particularly to equity-deserving students? And how might that transform what the work experience looks like, not just for the students themselves, but also for the employers? How might we actually change the face of work? And so that's the challenge we took on and what we were able to design with. And what we took as a design principles, we started with universal design for learning, which I don't want to get in a bun fight with anybody who is an expert in that space. It is lovely, but it is a starting point, not the end point. And so we said we can do better than that. So we started with UDL, and then we said, what's going on with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Canada? What happens if we bring those recommendations in and we make those part of our design principles? What if we bring in accessibility principles? What if we bring in language principles? What if we bring in gender-based lenses? The requirements for our program, for my poor team that does design, is 8 pages long without any technical requirements. Those are all of the attributes that we look at. And instead of the old way of thinking where it was one size fits one person in this space and everybody has to fit into that space, we thought, what would happen if we could make one size fit most, because we've done all of the heavy lifting to be able to design for intersectionality and a multiplicity of identities in the same place, and through that, make a really exceptional experience available to anybody who would want to be there. And I'm going to say Steph undersold herself and has a really cool story. So Steph is an alumni of Wavemakers. Steph is now the chair of Needs. I want to brag about her. That is the largest organization in Canada serving post-secondary students with disabilities. Steph was in our program. She was one of our, I think, our second cohort. And she came up to me at the end of the program after having met with some of our employers. We have over 150 employers working with us. And she said, Krista, for the first time in my life, I feel seen for my ability and not my disability. And that is what co-design can do.
I will stand as well because it's really weird not to see you. Before I answer your question, Stephanie, I want to say that we have a Q&A period at the end of the panel that I forgot to mention when I introduced the topic. I'm sorry. So at Open Collaboration for Cognitive Accessibility, we are currently about 80 individuals who, for the most part, self-identify as being neurodivergent or having a cognitive disability. And we are all willing, able, and enthusiastic at the idea of contributing to innovation and through inclusive co-design. What happened is that I'm a researcher. I didn't say that at the beginning, but I'm a prof at the University of Ottawa. And for 20 years, I've been using in my research inclusive research methods that are evidence-based. And I realized through connections with the industry and colleagues from engineering and biomed, etc., that the methods I was using were unknown from them. They didn't know how to involve persons with disabilities and specifically persons with cognitive disabilities in their research and development activities. So that's the story of Open. That's why I created Open, and since then we've been growing. We work with organizations in many different ways. One way might be to work with you and test the solution that you are developing or are thinking about. We can bring in the lived experience of our advisors to inform the development of the solution throughout the co-design process. We can also lead and conduct research projects for other organizations. For example, the Bank of Canada asked for our expertise to inform policy development regarding digital payments. And they had a very traditional way of thinking about research, and we told them that we couldn't do the research they were asking us to do because it was not accessible to persons with cognitive disabilities, and they couldn't come to the table. So instead, we designed a research project where we developed through co-design methods, a prototype for voice-activated digital payment. And through the iterative process of co-design, we collected information about cognitive accessibility barriers when using digital payments. And that's how we have been able to inform policies regarding digital payments in Canada. So that's another way. But we also offer a lot of training to engineers, researchers from any disciplines, and developers in general for them to change their practices and use inclusive research methods. Because, you know, if you think of a museum or a library, you might want to have persons with mobility impairments to use those spaces and enjoy them. But you know that you first have to make them accessible. It's the same thing with innovation. It's a space that you have to make accessible for persons with disabilities to really be able to contribute to innovation. So at Open, that's what we might be able to train you about, is how to make your processes, your methods cognitively accessible so they are more inclusive. And finally, we work with employers and training spaces to help them make their spaces, their workplaces, their training centers cognitively accessible. So we can interact and support organizations in many ways depending on the needs of the organizations. And in every project, we merge the lived experience of our advisors, research evidence, and your practical experience. And that's how we co-design.
So you're all speaking jargon. So what is co-design? And can you explain it to me in accessible language?
Oh. It's me again, so I'm standing up again. So when we thought about the questions, to me, co-design, the one word that comes to mind is shared decision making. For me, co-design is a place where all perspectives are valid, all experiences are valid, and none of those perspectives is more authoritative than others. To me, that's the key to co-design. It's the shared decision making, where we use scientific knowledge and practical experience to help problem solving the real world problems that persons with disabilities have.
Great. It's still not working, so I'm going to use this one. So at Specialist Erna Canada, for us, co-design is really about belonging. And so what do I mean by that? In the work that we do, we are a neurodiverse team, and we want to create opportunities where individuals can participate fully and meaningfully in the co-design process. And so for us, what does that look like? Well, so for many neurodivergent folks who think differently, communicate differently, interact differently, process their environment differently, in the co-design process, we need to take that diversity into account. And so that is a big piece of the work that we do, is ensuring that in that co-design that individuals, that sort of the big picture is provided, the rationale is provided of why are we looking at this particular problem. Are there different ways that you can share your feedback, your insights? Can you receive information in different ways in order to be able to very individually and meaningfully participate in that co-design process? So that's part of the belonging for us.
And I'm going to add on to that and what it means with us, and again, building on the beautiful setup here, is within Wavemakers, I mentioned a bit, we deal with intersectionality. And so if I was designing for somebody like myself, so there are programs that are designed for women, there are programs who are designed for first generation learners, there are programs who are designed for parents, and there are programs who are designed for people with disabilities. If you're somebody like me who identifies with all four of those things, a program that designs for only one of those identities is very likely to miss the mark on the rest of those identities. So co-designing with multiple people, recognizing the multiplicity of identities that they bring to the table, creates a richer experience for the individual, but also to the point of all the conversations we've been having, it strengthens the organizations. This isn't about innovation for people with disability. It is about using disability as a catalyst for innovation that ultimately serves the much broader community. And that's what we're talking about.
So I have a question for the audience. So what actions will you take to facilitate the involvement of persons with disabilities in innovation and co-design? So I'm asking you with a Slido, so the word cloud. So we'll start taking questions as people enter the Slido.
So I got the text side on this one, folks. So we have the Slido. If you can grab that, perfect. So we have some questions in there. Please jump in with others that you might have. I'm going to hand my phone to Steph. And we'll take some questions first, and then we're going to go to a word cloud. But I see we have a, yes. We're just going to get a microphone so we can all hear you. I think this is important.
So I like everything you said. It's great. I just love this seminar here. It's so much stuff. It's just blowing my mind. A few months ago, I contacted the largest builder in Canada of high-rise buildings, of condominiums, and I told them, make a long story short, I'm disabled, I live in an apartment building, I ride a mobility scooter, if there's a fire, I'm screwed, but I think I have an answer, a solution for it. Would you be willing to listen to it? And surprisingly, shock of shocks, they said yes. Okay? I told them my idea, blew them away, met with them a few months later, they're working on it now. The problem now is, though, you see what's happening in the condominium market, so it's going to be a while before it comes. But I figured out a way to use, in place of the stair system, in place of the stair system, a ramp system. That ramp system will replace that. So anybody with a scooter, wheelchair, walker, rollator, even women with baby carriages, they'll be able to exit the building safely. So that's coming along, which is great. What you guys were saying too about employment. I was at the TTC Wheel-Trans meeting a couple of weeks ago, and they're talking about different things. And I said to them, they're talking about how they have hired TELUS to answer the phone, for their calls. And I said, hello, we can answer the phones. I go, that's one job we can do. And I wanted to say with the other gentleman here with the autism, there's no playbook. When I became disabled, there's no playbook that says, now you're disabled, what do you do next? Can I suggest somebody put a website together, disabled.com, and then you go there, and then when it happens, you say, okay, what is your disability? Autism, multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy. Here's the places you should go. Here's the things you need to know. Here's the different things. There's nothing like that exists. If we had that there, like this could be like a seminar like this all the time. It'd be on site there.
Thank you. I'm going to ask our AV team to switch over to the cloud, the word cloud for us, because people have been adding some words in there. And then, Steph, you've got the questions in front here if you want to take those.
So how can organizations partner with you?
Email us. That's easy. It starts with a conversation. We need to understand what are your needs, what is the product, the service, the solution that you want to develop or test, or do you have a research project? We have so many different ways to support organizations that really the first step for us is to have a conversation. And we're right here.
Okay.
Nada, do you want to go?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Come and find me. I'm here, and would love to have a conversation.
And I'll say for our side, we're looking for different kinds of partners. We're looking for students who would like to come and be part of the program. We are looking for employer partners who are interested in helping students understand career pathways. We're not an employment program. We're there about opening apertures for students, thinking about careers they might never have imagined. We also are always looking for amazing mentors to work with our students. So if anybody would love to come and work with truly exceptional humans who are going to change the world, we have a virtual platform for you and would love to have that conversation. We're just outside.
Next question. So what is the biggest challenges in getting partners to understand the value of inclusion in employment pathways?
Go ahead.
Sure, I can start. At Specialist Learner, we work predominantly with employers, so with businesses. I would say that we have wonderful employer partners who collaborate with us, who are fully committed and engaged in doing this work in the space of neuro-inclusion. I think, but generally speaking, I think that there are challenges for organizations, particularly large organizations where there are, different departments and everyone is trying to sort of work together collectively. And so we see that that can be a major challenge in the work that we do. And I also think that I definitely think that with small and medium-sized enterprises, this can be an area of challenge as well, because perhaps you don't have, in a small organization, you don't have as many resources, you don't have as large of a team, and that could be a hindrance. So those are just a couple ideas.
I would say people overestimate what the barriers are. They make it feel harder than it actually is. And they underestimate the talent and capability of the communities and what is available. And so I would say that's probably the biggest one. And when we can show people all of the amazing, and we're in a room full of people showing how we can make accommodations, how in fact accessibility and disability can be a generator of innovation, that these can be tools that can be well leveraged towards that. I will also say we have a saying within Wavemakers that AI is easy and AV is hard, and so our word cloud is currently experiencing that moment. Thank you for those of you who've contributed. We will do a screen grab of it. And Steph, you have more questions?
Yes. So how can we improve accessibility in written communication and workshop development? Are there resources to help us be more inclusive?
Oh, that's one of our specialties. I would connect you with Dominique, who's an autistic person working at Open, and he's one of his interests is language. So that's why I hired him. So to make a point to the previous conversation, stop thinking about deficits. Disability is not a deficit. Just look at the strengths that you might need, the skills that you might need, and that persons with disabilities might have. So for us, Dominique had the skills necessary, more than necessary, to be able to write in plain language and easy read. So my team is trained in both accessible languages, and so we can train you or use your documents and your written communication and transform it into something more accessible.
Okay, so we got 2 more questions. So what accessibility standards have been used to inform your work? Are you using robust standards, example CSA Group and Accessibility Standards Canada?
I'll speak about one standard. Certainly the Accessibility Standards Canada employment standard is something that is very much guiding the work that we do at Specialist IRNA. We also leveraged some of the international standards that address diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's critically important work that's happening here in Canada. Amazing work that's happening that are providing guidelines and guardrails for the work that we do. And so specifically the employment standard is something that we use in all of our advisory projects with an employer. So if an employer is coming to us and wanting to know how do I create more neuro-inclusive recruitment practices, we are drawing on the Accessibility Standards Canada to support that work.
And I'll say yes, and in our world, and I know Specialist IRNA does amazing stuff. So some of the things that we look at as well, we also looked at international standards around privacy and data use, especially in light of AI. In fact, we're consulting with the government right now to try to help look at how might we create a Canadian principles-based model of data use that has interoperability and ethics at the core of it, so that we can bring more voices that are different from those that traditional AI is trained on into some of these decision-making pieces. So when you're designing things, yes, go to the core standards around disability, but think a little broader. And if you do that, it'll catalyze, again, a little, some different thinking and new ways of thinking that'll bring new ideas to the fore.
Yes, and we also inspire new standards. At Open, we currently work with Accessibility Standards Canada on upcoming standards on plain language in employment contracts, and another one on emergency responses.
Perfect. Okay, last question. You mentioned not underselling ourselves due to disability. The job market forces us to accept the minimum, but often the minimum is not offered. Where do we stand?
I'm happy to jump in on this one. Don't accept the minimum. And know that there are champions and communities here who will help you stand against that and will help advocate. Somebody offering the minimum doesn't recognize your value, and there's probably a reason not to be in that place. Great organizations recognize great talent. I will look, HP has made it a priority. I know Toyota is here, they've made it a priority. eBay has made it a priority. CIBC has made it a priority. Look at the groups that have chosen to support Access to Success, probably good places to start with. I will say we've got over 150 employers who are partners with us. One of the criteria to partner with us is that you have to make a commitment to be willing to work with the community that we represent. So if somebody is not valuing you, and I know it's easy for me to say, but trust me, come and find those of us in the room. Leverage our networks. We are here to support, and there is incredible generosity and support within this community. I would say oftentimes people are hesitant to do that. They feel it's an imposition. It is not. It is our pleasure. All of us up here are not-for-profit organizations. We do this because we fundamentally believe in the talent, the ability, and the capability that is in this community, and it is our whole mission to support you.
Oh, so well said. I don't know what
So I'm going to...
Yeah. Oh, Verona's giving me the no. I'm sorry. Can we
We
talk
are out of
afterwards? I will come. Thank you.
Okay, so do I conclude our discussion? I want to highlight the immense potential of disability-driven innovation. It becomes clear that real process happens when we actively involve individuals with diverse abilities that co-design process. By working together, we can create solutions that not only improve accessibility, but also deepen our sense of community. This shows us that inclusion is not only the right thing to do equitably, but it also proves the way for greater business success. Let's carry the valuable insights from our conversation today into our efforts to build a more inclusive future and encourage everyone to empathize inclusive design and co-creation to their work to make a tangible impact.
Hello, thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that amazing discussion. We really appreciate all your insights and all of your amazing questions from the audience. So I know in the program you may have noticed that this would be our break time. However, we're a bit over in terms of timing, and we want to make sure that there's plenty of time for networking at the end of the event. So what I'll ask is for the next few moments, if you have a need to get up, stretch your legs, go grab some water. There's also some coffee available. Otherwise, we're just going to kind of keep moving through the program. So don't feel rude if you need to get up and move around a bit. Great. So we are going to dive on in to the next portion of the program, which is going to be our virtual pitches. So these are 4 companies of ours who are tuning in online, aren't able to be here today because they are very international, very far away. So we'll get started with our first pitch. You're going to hear from Deval from SPED at School, also known as Vrudi EdTech, and it's about 1:30 a.m. their time, so let's definitely appreciate their patience with us. Just waiting for some audio here. Once it's going, I'll restart it. There's always technical difficulties at things like this. Ironically, at an event all about technology. It's a humbling time. Wonderful. We're going to get started in just 1 second. I see some new faces, so please feel free to sit down. Get nice and cozy. There's lots of space for everyone.
Dr. Dhaval Modi, a child and adolescent psychiatrist with over 30 years of experience and a serial entrepreneur with 2 successful exits. This is my third venture, Bruddhi EdTech. It's a social enterprise transforming inclusive education to make it accessible, measurable, and sustainable for children ages 3 to 13 years with learning disability, ADHD, and autism. Globally, 240 million children live with invisible disabilities. 70% remain undiagnosed, and only 1 in 3 diagnosed receives adequate support. Despite growing awareness, inclusion remains fragmented, inconsistent, and dependent on limited expert availability. There are major gaps in talent, resources, and knowledge. Even with strong regulatory mandates, this mismatch between policy and practice leaves millions of children unsupported. Globally, there is a 90% talent gap. Most schools still see inclusion as an expense rather than as an investment. Frameworks from KSDA, ADAC, and CBSE have made inclusion mandatory, yet schools struggle with implementation, documentation, and compliance. We saw an opportunity to make inclusion measurable, data driven, and effortless through technology. We built Speed LDS, a multilingual full stack platform integrating assessment, intervention, and progress monitoring through SPED Pro. It identifies learning and cognitive gaps in just 37 minutes. SPED Track creates individualized learning, cognitive, and sensory plans, curating content tailored to each child's visual, motor, or auditory learning preferences. SPED Monitor tracks progress in real time. SPED Prognostics predicts learning timelines for children to bridge their learning gaps. Speedy Labs and Sped Play provide AR-based therapy and a safe interactive environment to strengthen executive functioning, cognition, and motor skills. Sped Books is designed for children aged 3 to 8 years who may not be able to independently engage with technology. The market is currently valued at 18.65 billion, projected to reach 30.27 billion by 2028. We have reached in India, we are targeting 23,000 schools, 22,000 teachers, and 170 plus schools begin in South Africa in Jan delivering over 50,000 hours of launch in Singapore by educator productivity has increased by 40%, with compliance by 80% in Delaware, and children using Speed LDS thrice a weekly show reduced regression during Toronto. We have reached 128,000 children, 22,000 teachers, and 170 plus schools across 7 countries, delivering over 50,000 hours of coaching. Educator productivity has increased by 40%, compliance by 80%, and children using Speed LDS thrice a weekly show reduced regression during school breaks. Through our partners by 2028, we aim to impact 1 million children and reach 10,000 schools, creating the world's most trusted inclusion ecosystem. I am joined by my co-founders, Aisal Engineer and Supriya Das. When inclusion is backed by intelligence and compassion, transformation is inevitable. We are not just building tools, we are building futures. We are looking to have pilots to get feedback and validation for North America. Join us as we work towards touching a million lives by 2028.
we should be. Yep.
Okay. Gentlemen, is it okay if I ask a question?
Yeah.
So what my question pertains to your beachhead market. In the US, for instance, it is a highly regulated state. Special education is localized, and in fact, its implementation might even vary by school district across the states. So how do you anticipate hitting, well, what is your beachhead market, but how do you anticipate expansion in North America, and how will you approach the payer in North America?
Okay. Great. So currently our model,
You can
am I
hear me,
audible?
but I should have also said we understood the presentation.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So currently we are looking to build an ecosystem. So the first thing our model has to do is usually build a distributor model. So we are looking to build partnerships across the North American region. First, by having pilots, getting validation, getting effective research base before looking to enter into the market. Because currently also, as we are present in India and UAE, we have done successful pilots and validations in the research region before entering the market over there. Similarly, while US is a significantly regulated market, what we are looking at is clearly first to have a product market fit over there, getting validation and have research done before entering the market over there.
Thank you.
Sure, I can go next. There's some really good stats in terms of the amount of children reached and the impact the platform has. I'm just very interested to know how that translates to commercial traction. Can you speak to the commercial traction to date, revenue generated, and any qualitative metrics that would be interesting to share?
Sure. So to answer your question, we have two components of your question. First is the traction. So for this current year, our revenue is $500,000 and we are looking to close 1 million by the end of this year. Second, while our traction was just 200K last year, we have scaled significantly this year in the GCC, and we are looking to expand our operations. As I mentioned, in South Africa, we are launching our first pilot over there. So that answers your first answer in terms of the financial traction as well as our regional presence. And second, in terms of qualitative and quantitative metrics. So currently, children using our application, we are able to show 25% improvement in literacy and 18% improvement in numeracy at the end of one academic year.
Thank you.
Trying to understand, is this targeted more at the schools, the parents, both? Exactly what is your differentiator compared to alternative options?
So currently our application is significantly used across schools. Our 80% revenue is from B2B model. The B2B model is license based. A school use our licenses annually, and that gets us a recurring revenue for year-on-year licenses. Like we have signed multi-year contracts with schools in Dubai as well as in Abu Dhabi, and we have signed a few such schools in India also.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deval. Please enjoy the rest of your evening. Hopefully it's not too late for you. Thank you so much. So we're just going to dive into the next presentation. Looks like my clicker isn't working, so I just want to try to get that going. Wonderful. And so the next presentation that we're going to see today is Brandon from XR Navigation.
I want you to close your eyes and imagine. I want you to close your eyes and imagine. You smell the smoke and pull up the wildfire evacuation map. Now, with your eyes closed, I want you to tell me how you would evacuate using the map I'm showing on the screen. Keep your eyes closed. If you're blind, this map is blank. Open your eyes. Until now, it's been okay for Google, Apple, and Esri to only provide basic text descriptions like turn-by-turn directions because no one had invented a way for blind, mobility impaired, or illiterate people to actually use digital maps or spatial diagrams. That's why we created Audium. It's the first digital map and spatial diagram tool everyone can use. The patented Audium experience is like a video game where users hear the name and sound of objects as they move a character around the map, like this.
First tier section in Nixon Hall. First ramp, trash cans along with ramp. Second row table, west in Nixon Hall.
We have 15 paying enterprise clients, including the Wisconsin Geological Survey and NASA. Our initial beachhead market are the 1,800 state and local government agencies that the Department of Justice in the US has explicitly stated need accessible digital maps by April 2026. The entire digital spatial diagram market is $102 billion, and none of these are usable. I want you to raise your hand if you have seen a digital map in the last week. These will be Google Maps, weather maps, gerrymandered maps. Able-bodied people view 300 maps a year. Contrast that with blind people who view less than one. This massive gap is personal for us. Both my co-founder Chris and I are blind, and my co-founder and CTO Chris has built some of the most influential apps in the blindness community, including an app allowing blind people to independently solve CAPTCHAs. I am finishing my PhD at Georgia Tech researching non-visual digital maps with Audium. Our disabled investors believe what we're doing is life-changing. We have had over 25,000 unique visitors in the last year, and we received an accessibility report showing we are the only legal map viewer on the market. Our vision is that all maps are usable to everyone, but we need your help. Talk with us to learn how you can help 1 out of every 5 people use a map for the first time. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brandon. Now questions from the judges.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Gina.
Kline. Can you hear me?
I do.
Okay, great. So my question for you is, what is particular about blind cultural competency in terms of point-by-point directions versus landmark directions versus spatial awareness? What is it that you're doing that is really unlocking value in a way that prosaic maps don't?
Yeah.
So basically, turn-by-turn directions get you from point A to point B. They are mobility tools. What we are creating is an orientation tool. When blind people learn how to move around the world, they learn from somebody called an orientation and mobility specialist. The typical apps that are out there are called mobility apps, and like I said, they get you from point A to point B. What we're doing is allowing you to understand the shape, size, orientation, general layout, distance, direction, topological information, any kind of overlaid statistical information if you're doing data analytics because you're an oceanographer, meteorologist, epidemiologist, geologist, any of these professions that require the access to orientation information or, spatial information. And so we're unlocking space to people who are disabled and blind and unable to use maps currently.
Happy to jump in. Thanks, Brandon. Can you expand on the technology a bit more? Seems like it's a hardware and software solution. What does the long-term defensibility of the platform look like? That'll be helpful.
It is a completely browser-based application that can be inserted into any web app or mobile app or any kind of app at all. And basically what it does is we will integrate with the existing geographic information system database that the state or local government client has, and that's what we are showing in real time and updating in real time that the client on the maps that we're representing. So the Wisconsin Geological Survey gave us their existing geographic information system database, and we are rendering that out in real time to the users.
Thank you.
Hi, Brandon. This is William. Maybe building on that, I was going to ask, do you see this more as something that would get white labeled into the services provided by the GIS and other map providers, or do you see them as having to integrate more in with you, or is this a mutually beneficial relationship?
It's definitely mutually beneficial, but I definitely see technology if we're talking about integrating with Google Maps or Esri or Apple Maps or one of these existing digital map tools. The state and local government entities that are our initial beachhead market won't be white labeling this. They'll just be inserting it into their tool, and they'll be going onto the Esri Experience Builder store and downloading our widget into their application and configuring Audium to work on their 200 or so maps that they have that they present to their state and local government entities. And I want to be clear here that Audium is not really for navigation, it's for data analytics. So things like all the different maps that the city or government agency puts out, that's really where Audium shines.
Great job. Thank you so much, Brandon.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Next, we're going to hear from Claudio from the company Monevo.
Hi everyone, my name is Claudio. I'm CEO and co-founder of Monevo. Today I'm introducing to you Monevo Drive, a revolutionary new technology that will change the way you think about power wheelchair mobility and independent living. Our smart glass-based solution is designed to assist with the mobility of power wheelchairs and enable independent living. With its advanced sensors and intuitive user interface, our smart glass allows you to easily control your power wheelchair with just a glance. Simply calibrate within seconds, move your head in the right direction that you want to go, and the smart glass will take care of the rest. But that's not all. The smart glass also features a wide range of built-in features designed to enhance the independence and quality of life. From voice control and hands-free phone operation to GPS navigation and emergency alerts, our smart glasses has everything that you need to stay connected and in control. So why struggle with traditional power wheelchair controls when you can experience the convenience and freedom of Monevo Drive? Here's a couple of our user reviews that really nail down why Monevo is so special. Right now, we're raising a 2 million round after raising already a couple millions in the past, and we just got approved also for a 1 million research grant where we'll do eye tracking research and continue to work on just newly second patent granted in the US and Europe. So please join us to enable people and improve their quality of life. Thank you very much.
All right, I'm going to jump in. Hi, this is William. understand what your technology does. Can you speak to the ease or challenges that you've experienced in integrating with the powered wheelchair market? Because there are multiple brands. What do I need to know about that?
You might be on mute, or it might be us.
It looks like Claudio's on mute. Yeah. Look at it. It's big. Yeah.
Sorry. If you don't mind, I can tell you.
Okay. but tell the audience who you are.
Okay. I'm Eugene Chernicoff, CEO of Chiltia. We produce, design, power, complex and half-power wheelchairs. And we're users of Muniva technology. That's what I know about it. Basically, there is only 3 standards in driving of a power wheelchair. One is called ARNet by Curtis Wright. Integration of Muniva is done to the advanced module. Then there is a link, which is integration done to input-output module. So if your wheelchair manufacturer or an input-output module, Muniva can be integrated.
Thank you, Eugene and Claudio. You guys ask questions.
Sorry about that, Claudia. It looks like we're not able to hear you, and we're not sure if it's on our end. So as we continue to check with our AV team, we're just going to keep moving on, and we might be able to come back to you. Sorry about that, Claudia.
Nice video.
Awesome. Okay, so our last virtual pitch of the day is going to be Sign for Deaf.
Sign language translation system to solve this problem. Our web sign language plugin uses AI and real people to translate website content into sign languages, helping deaf users understand content. The video sign language plugin translate video content into sign languages. This helps people who are deaf access video content, including educational lessons or workplace health and safety training. Finally, Sign on Call. We provide real-time two-way communication between deaf and hearing users, making interaction fully inclusive. Our growth is driven by market licensing and partnership program. Designed with deaf professionals, our system uses real human models and AI to make content clear, accurate, and instantly accessible across all platforms. So far, we have developed Turkish and Arabic sign languages, and the next language on our roadmap include American, British, and Brazilian. We have more than 50 paid customers in 10+ industries so far. The digital accessibility market is rapidly growing, and there is a strong global potential for expanding our impact. We are looking for $1 million investment to add more sign language to our roadmap and enter the European EPAC and MENA market. Our team includes the dev community who experience the problem, developers who solve the problem, and a sales team that takes our solution to market. Join us in building an inclusive future where people who are deaf can learn, work, and grow. Together, let's turn accessibility into opportunity.
Thank you so much, Jose. Now we'll try our best to make sure the audio is working. If you can just test it right now and say something. Yes, we can. Okay, amazing. Judges, please feel free.
Hi, this is Gina. This is the joke was on me. Okay, I got it. Okay. Hi. Nice to meet you. Great presentation. Quick question. So I'd like to know how you're using artificial intelligence. And in particular, is your sign animated by a large language model that includes deaf community?
Thank you for your question. We use AI to translate to spoken language to sign language for transformation. And also we use generative AI to create interpolation between the two signs.
So, orthogonal question here, this is William. Language is like mobility is constantly changing. How can you adapt for kind of the cultural issues, but slang, multi-generational, intergenerational communication norms that is really, I think, underpins what the motivation behind the speech to sign language?
Yeah, also every country language is different, but also in the same language there's a difference, location, cultural differences. So we create like video-based data set, and we can make a customization according to translation. So according to your region, you can select your data set to translate it. So AI will translate that content according to your language and also your culture.
And maybe just one more question. In terms of the competitive landscape and existing tools in market, can you speak to who your primary competitors are and how your product is truly differentiated in market?
Yeah, most of our competitors use the avatar. Also we started with avatar, but when we meet with the deaf community, they really don't like avatar because of they cannot read the lips and emotions. They wanted the real person to translate, or even it is in the digital content. So our big innovation is using the real video to make that translation system. Nowadays, with the generative AI, also they create like a real human. Also, we are working on it, but more innovative and competitive of our side is using the real video, and our understandable percentage is 90%.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jose. I really appreciate it. Great job to all of our virtual pitches. Apologies to Claudia. We will make sure to connect you with the judges after so you can hear all their questions and feedback. Now, we're going to hear from another lovely speaker today before we dive into the rest of our pitches today. Now, Toyota Mobility Foundation is a collaborator of ours that you know of and is changing the face of accessibility innovation in Toronto. To share a little bit about their efforts and our work together, please welcome to the stage again William Chernicoff, Senior Manager of Global Research and Innovation from Toyota Mobility Foundation.
If anyone needs to move or stand up, stretch, whatever you need to do. I know we're a little behind schedule. I think it's more important to hear from the startup, so I'm going to give very brief remarks.
Many of you may not know what the Toyota Mobility Foundation is. We are ostensibly a Japanese nonprofit. We do operate globally with this mission for creating a more mobile society. How do we do that? We convene, we share know-how, we really try to enable and empower the mobility solutions both at the systemic level and the individual level, which is why most people are here. But we know that those two really work hand in hand. You can't have the wonderful tools that we're creating here don't work as well unless we have the properly designed built environment and large systems. But the individual personal mobility is equally important. And it's about that active independence and the agency that everyone here needs and deserves. And why is that so important? What motivates us to help support and anchor the ecosystems, whether it's Access to Success or Mobility Unlimited Hub, and really start to transform Toronto into an epicenter of active mobility? And it started years ago with this recognition of the best autonomous vehicle, the best public transit system in the world. Doesn't matter if people can't get to those systems and aren't able to navigate and move on the other side. So the individual mobility is a fundamental, critical part. And we recognize that we have to support across the entire stage of development, both the future vision, enabling startups, helping them transition to that growth stage, and then finding the mechanisms through a lot of our activity to find those markets and opportunities here. So I'm very happy and proud to be participating in this. We're trying to not only share our know-how, but constantly learning from everyone here to enable a more active society. So with that, let's get on to the next startups, because again, they're the ones making a difference. We're just proud to be able to support and enable that.
Beautifully said. Thank you, William. And thank you for the time back. We really appreciate it. So we're in our last stretch. We are going to hear from our last batch of in-person pitches. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce Pascal from Parados to the stage.
Hi everyone. My name is Pascal. I'm from Parados. At 7 years old, I tore my Achilles tendon, which prevented me from running and walking for about 5 years. Over the next 20 years, I had all kinds of ankle, hip, and knee problems, eventually cutting short my professional volleyball career. I'm not alone. Pro sports injuries have shot up over 300% in the last 30 years. And with an aging population across the world, injuries at work and falls at home are following a similar trend. Most of these injuries are preventable, but it's impossible to do so without a proactive approach and data to take the right decisions. Across the world, the demand is getting a lot larger than the supply, and it's only getting worse. For physical and health therapists, over the next 10 years, telehealth is expected to 10x across the world, and especially in North America, with an aging population leading to over $30 billion a year in extra musculoskeletal health spending. Providers realize they need to do more with less, especially using AI, and people prefer telehealth for the convenience. And an ideal solution would solve all these problems without needing much more time, money, or equipment. So this is exactly what we launched with early adopters. So from your phone, tablet, laptop, an AI digital assistant that cuts out the most frustrating part of healthcare for many, the wait times. We typically triple the number of people served, reduce the wait times and travel times by 90%, and reduce dropouts by over 75%. How we do that is typically in the scheduling process. It takes between a couple hours and a few days, and 30% of people drop out. We cut that out by having an AI agent that can take calls and messages and asks and answers questions immediately. And typically the next step is to wait a few weeks for your in-person appointment. We cut this wait time out by immediately recording movements from any camera, your phone, your tablet, your laptop, and preparing the data for your therapist so that it's more of like a doctor or dentist. They just review a file and take 5 or 10 minutes instead of a full hour-long conversation. Next step is typically monitoring. A lot of people drop out here too. And we help improve by gamifying and increasing motivation, retention, and understanding. I like to tell the story of an NHL team we worked with. One of their players was having back problems. The medical team said back problems. The therapy team said tight hips. The fitness team said one of his legs is twice as strong as the other. Turns out one of his femurs is an inch longer. And we figured out once we screened him. Now, this points out a couple things, that even with the best experts and all the time in the world, it's easy to miss obvious problems when you don't take a bottom-up objective approach, and that it's hard to define which kind of expert you need to see, and there's a lot of waste in resources by not properly prioritizing. So far, we have protected our IP, we've built a product, and we've assembled a team. We have users across the world on most continents, especially in university kinesiology, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, neuro departments. Next year, we're moving into workplace wellness, and in the long term, moving to a predictive large movement model, where we'll be used in geriatrics, pediatrics, orthopedics, and so on. Thanks for your time, and happy to answer any questions.
So this is a super crowded space in MSK, in wellness, but you're doing something a little bit different. It seems like you are taking observable facts from images. What gives you such confidence that optimizing towards what is noticeable using computer vision is the way to go?
Yeah, I guess I'd answer that especially by saying the problem we mostly solve is the bottleneck. Not necessarily that we don't diagnose, so we're not a medical device. It's more for prioritization, triage, and monitoring. Because oftentimes it's deciding maybe not the person that's complaining first or the loudest that needs it, but the person who's not complaining at all. My father had hip replacement recently, and when they got in, they were surprised he was walking, just because he doesn't complain about his problems. And so I think that's the approach that we come with, is more which expert should you see and when, and who do we prioritize. For example, we worked with the RCMP. They have 500 officers for one kinesiologist, and 50 plus of them want to see them on a weekly basis, but they can only see about 10 to 20. Who do I see? And that across the board, that's kind of the problem.
So you're using the images of various conditions in order to prioritize and work triage on who should get connected first.
Yeah, kind of like a flagging system. And
but not diagnostics.
Correct.
Okay, fantastic.
Great presentation. Can you speak to why a prospect wouldn't adopt the technology?
Yeah, I would say if your model is purely in clinic and extremely diagnostic and very precise. So for example, motion capture labs. We don't replace motion capture labs, but in most of our users in developing countries, for example, where they don't have the budget for hardware for motion capture labs. And so it would be, if their business model doesn't prioritize accessibility, I guess, and scalability.
Thanks.
Gina has two questions, so I give her my second one. Thank you.
Awesome. Very tall. Okay. Moving on. Okay, so next we're going to hear from Dan from X-Ray.
I want them. No, I'm going to share them.
Awesome. Hopefully I can go next. How do I do that? Big green button. There we go. Wonderful. Excellent. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dan Scarp, CEO and founder at X-Ray. I'm joined by my wife and co-founder, Lara. If any of you want to try out the technology, just give that little QR code a quick scan. We will bring that up later on so you can try it again, though. So 1 in 5 of the world's population lives with hearing loss, a bit like my late granddad, who was 96 when this picture was taken. And it can be something which is really debilitating for people. There are all kinds of studies that link hearing loss to all kinds of horrible other things, and I wanted to do something about it. Hearing loss is just one barrier to communication, though. Arguably an even bigger one is language. So between hearing loss and language, just about every person on the planet, we believe, might benefit from this technology. And so we thought, why don't we put subtitles on the world? And so we created what we very humbly believe is the world's best AI speech app. So this is a piece of software that can run on any device and provide real-time transcription and translation across 300 different languages. And we are myopic about things like data security and privacy, unlike some of the other alternatives which are available in market. But we took it one step further. So we wanted to be able to take these subtitles and actually broadcast them out to lots of other different devices. You think about airports, you think about theatres and so forth. So we created X-Ray Stream that allows us to do that. With X-Ray Stream, you can broadcast subtitles to other devices, to TVs, to websites, whatever you like. And you can imagine there are hundreds and hundreds of different scenarios for this technology, but to give you just a handful of them, think about customer service across languages, an ability to be able to just drop in an app and a tablet and be able to correspond across languages, we think is really interesting. If you look at sports, live entertainment, theatres, there are all kinds of situations where you might want to be able to broadcast subtitles. Travel, we're doing a lot of work with airports and train stations to make all of their announcements available in multiple languages. As I said, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of use cases for this technology. We are working with a number of the world's leading organizations. We're very proud considering how small we are. And we're also working with a number of the world's leading technology partners, and we have some incredible partnerships with some of them. But one of our big differentiations is that we provide the ability to support different kinds of AI models. So AI models in the cloud, AI models on premise, and that allows us to change the game on commercials using hardware rather than the cloud. That means we can deliver unlimited subtitles for a whole range of different venues and organizations for a fraction of what it might cost in the cloud. And finally, to top it off, these incredible AR glasses that some of the panel have been playing with, newly available $699. We have a margin-rich recurring revenue model, founders with a lot of experience, and we're looking at raising $5 million. Sorry, got too many slides. There we go. I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very interesting set of customers that you have. Maybe can you explain what does a commercial relationship with AstraZeneca look like? How are you adding value? Which team are you working with?
So AstraZeneca in particular bought some of the glasses to trial with their employees. So we work with organizations inside companies that help employees. We also work with organizations like theatres and train stations and so forth that want to broadcast their announcements. So it's either an accessibility solution or a broadcasting solution. With AZ it was accessibility.
Got it. Thanks.
William?
Go ahead.
Okay. But you promised to ask a question.
I promise.
Okay.
I just got a flood of information. I got to process it.
I want you to give it to me straight. Are you making your own frames? Tell me what do you own? What is more to a particular set of frames, or what is interoperable with a lot of different frames?
So what we have built is an app. It's a piece of software, it's a platform, and that app is available across any device, any operating system, any kind of form factor, and then we connect to any different AI model, so cloud models, on-device models. So think of us as an aggregator, as a platform, and then in terms of those particular glasses, we have an incredible relationship with the manufacturer of those glasses, where we have managed to negotiate worldwide exclusivity that any of those glasses sold will be sold with our software, and our target for next year is 60,000 of those glasses.
But selling direct to consumer off of your own e-commerce site or off of the manufacturer site?
Not off the manufacturer site.
Okay.
Right now, it's off of our website. In order to sell 60,000 of these next year, we're going to have to crack distribution. So retail and other ways of getting this out to the people. And that is what the bulk of this investment is for, is to build out those commercial distribution outlets.
Fantastic.
But many of our users don't even use the glasses. The vast majority just use the app on their phone.
And so then just to clarify, so it's the app on the phone. Where's the audio pickup? And because you're not in the cloud, so where's the translate or the voice to text happening?
So if you were using those particular glasses, for example, they have a microphone in them. So the microphone collects the audio, goes Bluetooth to your phone. If you're doing local processing, it stays on the phone. If you're selecting cloud processing, it goes up and back to the cloud. So we have lots of different configurations depending on what devices you're using and what the particular scenario is.
Fascinating technology. Not sure about your choice in EPL teams, but that's a separate issue.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great job. Okay, we'll keep moving here. So next up, we have Josh from Humotech.
Thank you, Evan. I got to move this up again. So thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. Improving access to life-changing prosthetic technology is our mission, and we do this in a really unique way with robotics-enabled co-design to optimize prosthetic foot selection. So I'm Josh Caputo, the founder and CEO of Humotech, and I'm joined by my lovely partner and Humotech COO, Candace. We have a little booth out that way to the right, so come see us later. So let me start by telling you a little story about my friend Tony. Tony was in a traumatic accident that resulted in the loss of his right limb below the knee. He really wanted to bounce back quickly so he could keep up with his growing kids, but he couldn't because the foot he received was stiff and uncomfortable. He knew there were other options out there, but he was told he had to wait. This is an all too common story in the world of prosthetics. There are 300,000 prosthetic legs delivered every year across the world, and they all face this common challenge. There's a real dearth of data to guide clinical decision making, so clinicians, or prosthetists as they're known professionally, have to rely on their intuition and the influence from the manufacturer of these devices to select the most appropriate device. And compounding this problem is increasing incidence of lower limb amputation, mostly driven by diabetes, and a generational shift in the clinicians who do this work. The resulting status quo is poor. 44% of people report being unhappy with their prosthesis. People with lower limb prosthetics walk 65% slower than their age-matched peers. They fall at a rate of 50% per year. And 25% of prosthetics are completely abandoned. Falls are expensive, about $25,000 per fall, and abandonment is on average about $30,000 and overpayment by the payer. So we're supporting this problem with a unique robotic solution we call the prosthetic foot emulator. It's pictured here, and basically it enables the user while they're walking to experience what different feet feel like. These could be clinically standard off-the-shelf feet, or they could even be custom designs. And while the patient walks, they experience these devices, and they share their experiences with the clinician. Subjective, objective, optimization. We've deployed over 40 of these systems internationally. We're a revenue-generating business. We've done over $1 million in sales for the past 2 years, and now we're translating to clinics. So we enter into this clinical workflow before any purchasing decisions are made. We help the clinician optimize within minutes which foot is going to be best for the patient, supporting the billing and reimbursement process. And I'm out of time. I'd love your questions. And we're really excited to make connections here in Toronto, Ontario, and Canada.
So I often, over the last 6 years, I've heard a lot of people talking about the problem with the prosthetic market is the urgent need for customization and the lack of distribution and ability to customize at scale. This seems like you've got a customization, and how are you going to get it distributed? Meaning, are you selling to clinics? Are the clinics able to do this at scale? Where do you get volume?
Yes, great question, and these problems are why we exist. So there are 8,000 clinics across the world. Those are our customers. And our initial go-to-market strategy is focusing on the higher volume clinics, those doing over 20 leg prescriptions per month. There is a significant return on investment for them in adopting this solution because we can 10x the margins on their prosthetic limb reimbursements. From there, we're collecting data, aggregating it, and building analytics tools for the future to scale even further.
Yeah, so I mean, prosthetics are complicated, right? A lot of the problem starts with the socket. You've got dynamic alignment. You're doing a one-time fit correctly, or is this? How does this kind of go back through the feedback process that as the individual is changing and adapting to their prosthetic, they may or may not need a different foot? And is this the biggest problem, or how do you see that fitting into this systemic issue that leads to the abandonment and other problems you put up front?
Great question. So first, to achieve a baseline understanding, prosthetics are only reimbursed once every 4 years. So we help the clinicians get it right the first time when making this critical decision. So a well-fitting socket is certainly essential, but it's equally essential to an appropriately selected prosthetic foot. And the quality of those two components of the limb directly influence each other. So the wrong foot is going to ruin a perfectly good socket and vice versa. We're enabling this optimization to happen as often as you would like. Some of our pilot customers have wondered, for our highly mobile patients, could they come in and exercise on this to improve their gait? The reality, though, is that reimbursement happens once every 4 years. So we're laser focused on improving the selection at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Okay, next up we have Vinay of Orange Neurosciences.
I can use the device. I wear a prosthetic foot. Just wasn't aware. Well, there's a day I would like to forget. Coming back from conference, my wife crying because school called and said, your son may have ADHD and you need to do something. She calls, 2-year wait time. Well, that's a crisis. And the question she asked me, you are a drug discovery scientist and a serial entrepreneur, what are you going to do? Well, for my son, I founded Orange Neurosciences, solving $1 billion problem for the timely neurocognitive and therapy. Well, the big problem is, it's the inefficiency. We know there's not enough psychologists, we know there's not enough technology, but more importantly, we know that there is not enough technology that the psychologists are going to adopt. And then their care homes, neurodiverse population, aging people, they're all suffering because of that. What if? What if cognitive triage took minutes? What if nurses, OTs, or even PSWs could run their assessments? What if psychiatrists had an objective cognitive data before each appointment? Introducing Orange Neurosciences, platform that does game-based rapid cognitive assessment and therapy. It reduces time by almost 80% as well as cost. And remember, it's a non-pharmacological therapy for ADHD. That's the journey I started with. 15 to 20 minutes, game-based. We have some games running, so I would invite you to come check out there on the corner there. But more specifically, it's using the technology to, I just want to show you the games actually. Sometimes it's just fun to see the games, how they work. We get a report, a PDF report personalized for the patient in 15 minutes, something that has been waiting for months and years for a psychologist to deliver. Global market, trying to solve for ADHD, autism, entire brain health community that can use this technology. We are in place in hospitals, care homes, education institutions, as well as now we have some corporate clients, especially in Dubai. So over 1 million minutes of therapy, that translates to over 6,000 patients. We did roughly around 850,000 in revenue in last 2 years since we came into market. We are on track to do 2.5 million next year. By the way, this is fully bootstrapped company, so we are hoping the first time to raise our money, hopefully soon. Hybrid SaaS model, technology platform, and we are trying to see how we can make this big difference. Well, now I should look at the time. I wasn't looking. So, team of entrepreneurs who have built the companies together. We are serial entrepreneurs who have made it happen. The big ask is we can make a big impact and we create an inclusion community. The demand is here. Momentum is now. We need your support. Thank you.
So my main question would be, what is the research predicate, the evidence basis that there is a causal relationship between this gaming and positive identification of the range of ADHD and other disabilities? I assume you've got an umbrella of neurodiversity that you're identifying.
That is correct. So we stick as an assessment tool. We don't have a medical device status at this time. The test is FDA Class 2 approved in US. It is currently used in over 5,000 hospitals. 5 million people have used it. In terms of how these games are able to measure, the standard batteries like CANTAB, Stroop test, all the standard batteries that people are currently using paper pencil based, they have been validated against. We have over 60 publications to support those research and multiple clinical trials.
So you have incorporated other standards into the gaming.
And use an AI to make a personalized game that understands how the brain is functioning to enhance that cognitive skill. So that is our IP. We have granted patents in roughly around 28 countries because we just filed a European as well. So we have granted patents how AI understands what's happening in the brain and then enhances that skill.
Sure. Maybe can you expand on why gaming is the right modality to address the pain points?
Well, so assessment I will go with very specifically. So when people are trying to do the assessments, I'll go with like a MOCA test or clock drawing, which is standard paper pencil based tools. What happens is the key parameter has always been processing speed of the brain. And processing speed is time. A lot of time gets ignored, and that's why it takes long time for psychologists to run multiple batteries in trying to understand where the challenge is. In our case, a specific game or a set of games, we can measure, like for Stroop test, go, no-go decision. We can measure the decision making. But because we are able to measure the time as well, we add more value. And that's where the whole IP stands there. Thank you.
There's only 2 questions.
Wonderful. So we've got one more pitch for the evening. So I'd like to introduce to you all Shoaib from Rehab to Go. Looks like there's just trying to click you into the next one. There you go.
So I'm just testing it. Okay, here you go. Hello everyone, my name is Shoaib Nathani. I'm a co-founder and co-CEO for Rehab to Go. My background is in physiotherapy. Let me start with a small story. One day my friend called me out of distress. He was out of the town and he said that, hey Shoaib, my mother fell down and I'm not sure what had happened to her. Can you go and check on her? I'm like, sure. So I went in there just to rule out whether any fracture or anything that I need to take her to the hospital or anything. And turns out it was just a back strain. And I treated her and I was off my way. On my way out, I thought that how many other people, just like my friend, goes through that anxiety of, what happened to my mother or what happened to my father or should I go to emergency or not? And I'm like, that's where the Rehab to Go came into the life. Upon reviewing the market and the problem, I realized that there are a lot of healthcare challenges that we suffer. There are long wait times, there are inconvenient clinic visits, people with mobility issues, challenged with travel, they end up missing their appointments. The care is very fragmented. It's not structured. Like you can go to anybody, but you don't know what do they specialize in. So all of those problems created Rehab to Go, that this is a solution that we are bringing to the market. Our vision is to transform the rehabilitation by making it easier, faster, and more personalized through the power of technology. We provide in-home
and virtual care, empowering patients to recover. The market size is getting bigger and bigger. Currently in US, it's 107 billion, Canada is 7 billion, and India, it's $20 billion market. The journey is very simple. We have created a platform where patient can go in and request the kind of care they need, the time, they put in the time and the place, and we match the therapist for them to deliver the care. We work with all the different kind of insurance companies that are out there to make sure that the patient doesn't have to jump out of our platform to deal with the insurance company or anything. We take care of everything for them. We have a skill provider list of around more than 250 therapists all over Ontario. We have treated patients as west as Sarnia and as east as Ottawa. So we have pretty much covered all over Ontario. We are working on developing new AI features where there will be automated profile matching, that through adaptive learning we will be making more accuracy, and it will be more data driven, and post-care monitoring systems are also coming into place. Through the use of our platform, we have noticed that people have actually saved a lot of time, the time that they can use to spend with their families, and they can also help the time they can use with their families and travel less outside to go and get the care that they need. We have already treated over 3,000 care, and we are dividing more and more. Sorry, my time is up, but thank you.
So maybe first with a point of clarification, are you connecting people so that the therapists go to the home, or the care is provided remotely to people at home?
We are doing both.
Both, okay. And do you have clinical evidence then related to, as anyone who's had OT or PT knows, right, there's a lot of direct physical manipulation by the therapist. How do you ensure that is not missed with the at home if the person is not going in and directly working with a therapist?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
So physical therapy, occupational, other therapy, right, there's often a lot of direct kind of manipulation of the individual to help with the joints, the muscles, and then they go home and do exercises at home. But if you're just doing at home, you have clinical evidence that skipping that kind of direct interaction with the therapist achieves the same requisite level of results.
So the therapists are actually going to the people's home to treat them.
Okay.
So there is that physical touch that you are talking about. And we have seen the clinical evidence of seeing other people that they get one-on-one. Like if you go to a clinic, you will see that the therapist is always thinking about who is the next patient after you. Over here, it's only one patient they are focused on. So the outcomes are really amazing.
Okay.
Sure. And so just to add on, it seems like it's a multiple-sided marketplace with different stakeholders. What is your go-to-market or your distribution strategy to get the providers on board, to target the right customers? How does that look like at this early stage of the business?
So our go-to-market strategy is very simple. My experience comes from I own several healthcare clinics, and I've seen the groundwork of how things work. So the go-to-market strategy is very simple: to connect and to make strategic partnerships with the other home care services, which doesn't provide the services that we provide, to partner up with hospitals, to partner up with the rehab centers. The biggest challenge currently in Ontario is there are very limited private rehab centers, and the public rehab centers have longer wait times. So the people with the chronic problems, they have to wait long. So this is our go-to-market strategy.
Got it. Thank you.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. Thank you, judges, for your time and all of your listening and all of the great feedback that you've given. I'm just skipping through these slides. So you can all have a seat. Thank you so much again. Really appreciate it. And thank you all for paying such great attention to our companies today. So just a reminder, and apologies, I'm just skipping through some of these slides. Just a reminder that now that you've seen all of the companies present, it is Now your opportunity to vote for your favorite, who you believe deserves the People's Choice Award. So this includes the companies that pitch live, the companies that pitch virtually, and of course, our panelists, so the 3 companies in the panel. So please scan the QR code now and put your vote in. And just for a bit of background, so Access to Success has already selected and awarded $50,000 worth of grants to some of these companies, but it doesn't stop here. Now it's your chance to vote for the People's Choice Award, and that'll be for a $2,500 check to our lucky company. So it looks like most people have the QR code, so I'm just going to move on to our last portion of the evening, our fireside chat. Now, as you've had a chance to think about the amazing innovations you've seen today, the fact is innovation, particularly in the world of disability, can come from anywhere. It can take many forms, and it doesn't always have to be tech. The next person we'd like to introduce you to exemplifies this fact. So Chandra Ramadurai is the CEO of Efficiency Capital, an energy-as-a-service company that partners with multi-residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional clients to finance, develop, and manage energy retrofit and net zero projects. Through their third-party private partnership model, EC has raised over $100 million in project capital and delivered impact across 2,000 residential units. Now Chandra is bringing the same systems-level thinking to assistive tech. Please welcome to the stage Chandra Ramadurai for a conversation on accelerating the adoption of assistive technology with our founder and executive director of Access to Success, Varun Shendek.
Everyone. It's been an intense afternoon, huh? It's all right. Take a breath. Take a deep breath with me, all right? Inhale. There you go. Feel a little better. Maybe a little bit. We're almost at the last, the last inning stretch, so we'll get there. Chandra, thank you so much for joining us today. You have a very, very interesting professional background and a very, very deep connection to the world of disability. Can you explain to everybody what did Evan mean by her introduction of yours?
I guess I would probably start by saying that my background naturally is not in disability. But as I was working in other parts of the world, primarily solving for energy related and environmental related issues, I recognized that the model we currently do can be easily transformed to make changes in the accessibility world. And I think that's probably in a nutshell what she meant. But let me explain to you what we do in Efficiency Capital and in the model we do. We use a model called energy as a service. So what does it do? We go to buildings and we know there is a huge energy cost which a lot of these buildings incur. And I'm going to use a very large sized example just for convenience sake. Say a building is spending $1 million in utility cost, electricity, gas, water. We know that this total amount of utility spend can be brought down to say $600,000. But to save the $400,000 a year, someone has to spend a couple of $1 million upfront. And the biggest challenge for a lot of these has been 3 primary things. Why don't building investors invest into upgrades? Capital, confidence, capacity, the 3 C's we call it. And even if someone has a capital, they don't want to put the capital. A lot of the time people don't have the capital. Confidence is about making sure that it works as intended. That's the second part of it. And the third part of it is capacity. Most buildings are managed by a property manager who is always thinking about how can I keep my head above water? How can I fix that broken light? How can I fix that broken toilet? They're not thinking systemically. So what we do is we go and solve for all of it. If we go put in the capital, $2 million upfront, we get the project completely executed using our time and capability, and we guarantee outcomes. We actually go and get it independently certified, and we prove that we save 400,000. So once we save the 400,000, the client pays us 300,000 a year for the next 10 years. So that's the structure we do.
Well, don't give away your secret sauce for free there, Chandra. But we haven't gone into what's that got to do with the world of disability and accessibility. But before we do that, I would like to ask you a little bit about your personal connection to disability. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. My personal connection is part of my life, my son. As many of you in this room can attest to, a lot of the journey, the disability journey starts because of a need. My son, he's here today. For the first time, he's actually joining a panel like this where I'm presenting. He has a very unique condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, or as he calls it, bones made of glass. So he's had over 150 fractures, and over the last few years, he has lost his ability to walk. So things have obviously changed, and he says that people often see his wheelchair before they see him, and that over a period of time has enabled us to appreciate the perspective he brings to the table. So a lot of my journey into this, and I'm very, very new in this journey. I promise you, I learned so many things today listening to all of you. So this journey is about how do we bring accessibility mainstream. This isn't about enabling technology. This is not about new technologies. This is about enabling technologies.
A theme that we've heard a lot today here. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. The truth of the matter is that despite all of the resources that your family, you as caregivers are putting out in the world, the truth is that all of you, your son and your partner as a caregiver have had subpar experiences in your lives. Can you talk a little bit about that, if you wouldn't mind, and share how that has informed, those experiences in particular have informed some of the work that you're now beginning to do in the world of accessibility?
Yeah, recently the Rick Hansen people had come to do some training. And as he said, and maybe he didn't use the exact same words, but I'm paraphrasing him. He said, disability often starts as a medical condition, but in practice, it is perpetuated because there is a disconnect between the person and the environment. So the goal is to create structures in the environment that would work and make it less disabled. What we do day in and day out, why go that far? I don't want to, we are sitting in a hotel and I don't want to say anything, but I know how difficult it was to get into this hotel, how difficult it was to find an accessible washroom and so on and so forth. And it goes through with every single building we go to. It's the loss of dignity and the ability to access spaces which you normally take for granted, which is where things have come to. It's not about the broken elevator. It's a lot more than that. It's about the self-respect. It's about what goes with it. And I think that's the piece which I think I don't want to get into a litany of things which you have experienced, because everyone here can attest to that.
And that leads us very neatly to the so what of today. So all of us, so many of us have had these experiences. I also have a couple of disabilities and I've had so many of these experiences. So what's the so what? Now tell us about the actual secret sauce, what you call accessibility as a service.
Yeah, I went into a little bit of the initial background about what we do in my current company, Efficiency Capital, primarily because a lot of that model is applicable for what we are trying to do here. As we started working with building owners, we have upgraded over 100 plus buildings. We have invested over $100 million to upgrading buildings. And we realized that there is a huge need in the building space for accessibility upgrades. And most of them either don't know what to do, or they don't have the capital, or even if they have the capital, they don't have the desire to do it. And we work with a bunch of very like-minded partners. We have many foundations, the Toronto Foundation, McConnell Foundation. We have a lot of impact investors who are repeat investors with us. this is a new pool of money which the building owners don't have access to. So what we go and we raise capital from a lot of these people, and our goal is to deploy it in the same building environment to do accessible upgrades. And we aren't only talking about ramps and elevators and stuff like that. We are even talking adaptive kitchens. Because there are requirements, there is a strong business case to go and do those types of things. Because for buildings owners, there is a financial reason for them to do this. They get a lot of extra benefits for doing this. So we started thinking about this early this year, and as we started ideating and started talking to a few of my clients, 6 of them have signed up so far. We are currently upgrading 6 buildings and bringing it up to beyond code, because apparently code is not good enough for accessibility purposes. So that's the reason for our conversation with Rick Hansen Foundation. We are trying to get them certified under the Rick Hansen Foundation Accessibility Certification or the CMHC standards.
I was going to say, can you give it up for Chandra? How many times do you hear stories of people taking experiences that they've had, that the family have had, come up with a solution, and while running a multi-million-dollar business, taken a new idea from ideation to execution in a matter of months? That is extraordinary. What advice do you have for the people here? Like you said, your background, you never intended to set out to be a disability activist or an innovator in this space. You just find yourself as one. What advice would you have for the people, the individuals, the corporates, the organizations who are here, who are thinking, I'm not a disability advocate?
I think the people with disability, which is almost 1 in 4, and the people who are touched by disability, which is 1 in 50% of the population, would understand what I'm talking about. The question here is that why don't the corporates? The problem is that corporates are looking at it through compliance or charity lens rather than through a strategy lens. Imagine the fact that if you could make your workplace more accessible, you have access to 25% more people. Our office is in a very new building just down the street, and I don't want to mention the name of the landlord, built 2 years ago, certified LEED Platinum. But the second floor offices where a lot of the meeting rooms are does not even have remote access. So there has to be someone who has to go and open the door for someone in a wheelchair. Simple things like this, right? So people are always looking through the lens of cost. People are looking through the lens of charity. How do you basically make it part of the strategy? And if money is the issue, there are organizations like us, there are business models like ours, which can work. And I think it's about adopting and taking it to the next level.
The beauty of this conversation, Chandra, is that I think here in particular for this crowd, this is preaching to the choir. But the reason that this is so important to share anyway is because you're one of the rare people who are actually taking that whole idea of business case and executing on it. In real estate, no less. Chandra, thank you for being here today. Thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you, Warren.
All right, my turn to give this one a shot. That's right, we are at the final stages of this afternoon, and it is time soon now to announce our People's Choice Award. Before I do that, hopefully somebody on my team has done the tabulation so we know who the winner is. But before I ask for who the winner is, I want to take a second here for all of you. Really, I know it's been a long afternoon, but the people here today, the ones you heard from, they've come from all the way from Ottawa to Argentina. They've spent sleepless nights, they've spent a lot of hours traveling, and they've done all of that after about 4 very intense months of programming. If you think this is intense, go through ATS first. So can I ask all of you to please give the biggest round of applause to all of the startups, the organizations who pitched today. I also want to take a second before we go to the award winner to recognize the amazing, amazing volunteers who are here with us, joining from our partners like eBay and HP, but also just people who are really passionate about the world of disability inclusion. So could you please join me in giving them a warm round of applause as well? And finally, we would not be able to pull this off without the absolutely amazing, incredible, astounding MC, Ellen McDonald, our marketing team, Stephen, our research intern, Toheeb, and all the amazing people we work with. And so with that, I am finally ready to announce the winner of today's People's Choice Award, the winner of $2,500 in additional grant funding. Is everybody online ready? Hopefully you are. The winner is XR Navigation, Brandon Biggs. Brandon, if you're on, do you want to come on video?
Yeah, you should see me. Thank you so much. This is crazy. Thank you. Thank you, everybody who's watching.
Fantastic.
A lot of folks.
Thank you. These have been the. Oh, I forgot I had a whole animation and some music here. Let's just pretend that this happened as planned. This has been an incredible year for Access to Success. I just want to take a couple quick minutes to share about everything that's been going on, because I realize when I speak with people, most of them don't actually know what ATS is doing outside of our accelerator program. And boy, has it been easy. This year, we worked with HP and RBC to launch the Future of Work Skills and Tech stream to support people with disabilities. We worked with the Toyota Mobility Foundation, as you heard, to launch the Active Mobility Stream. And this is one that many of you may not know about. We worked with the Zero Project in Vienna, Austria, to launch become a supporter of the Zero Project Scaling Solutions Program, which is essentially a global program that handpicks 6 fellows around the world and helps them scale internationally. Access to Success will be the organization helping them do that. We've been in and organized a whole lot of events this year, from the Accessibility Innovation Exchange to the ATS Summer Social, and we've been at a lot of booths, which is how we are able to find the companies that we work with from everywhere, literally from Austria to Australia and everywhere in between. We've scoured the world looking for the best of the best, and that's what I want to focus on. You saw this slide earlier, a world map with a few countries highlighted. We have companies and organizations from 6 countries in the program this year, but the truth is, after all the work that we've been doing, we have companies, applications, collaborations, partners in 41 countries around the world as of 2025. This work is what allows us to not only identify, like I said, the best of the best, but also have a very deep understanding of what's truly going on in the world of cutting-edge accessibility innovation. And notice I'm not saying tech innovation. I'm saying accessibility innovation for a reason, because as you saw today, innovation doesn't have to be just tech. Now we take everything that we're learning and watching and listening and hearing around the world and put that into 47 masterclasses this year alone, attended by our ATS startups, the 17 companies that you heard from. They heard from 56 speakers from all over the world. I don't know what's going to come up next. I've already forgotten. We had 42 one-on-one check-ins with each one of with all of these companies in total, and ultimately we had an average rating of 4.2 out of 5. If that doesn't mean a lot, hang on for the next box, which I do remember, because this rating is based out of feedback submissions, which were submitted by just these 17 companies more than 400 times in a matter of 3 to 4 months. Because when we select these companies, we want to be sure, we want to be really sure that we are co-designing with them. We want to be really sure that we are listening to them. We want to be really sure that we are not wasting their time. But we can do this on our own. We don't do this on our own. As you heard today, these collaborations, these partnerships, these innovations can stem from anywhere. Whether you are just a member of a network, whether you feel like you could support with distribution for our assistive tech in particular, whether you work in a large corporation and you feel like you haven't really done much in disability, but you're interested in doing that, whether you are a DEI and accessibility practitioner, or maybe you have deep pockets with some funding, because I wouldn't be opposed to that. All of those are easy ways to get involved, and I encourage you to do so. I don't mean this in a generic way. I'm literally asking, think about, why are you here? You are here for a reason. You spend almost 5 hours listening to us. You're here because you're passionate about this space. Don't let this be idle passion. Come work with us. Email me at varun@accesstosuccess.ca. And for any of you who have emailed me, you know I respond to everything pretty quickly. Email me at varun@accesstosuccess.ca if you're interested, because the reason you're here is the same reason why we do what we do, because we know that we, the people with disabilities, can change the world. We know that it's time we enable everyone. Thank you.